Well, howdy everybody. Hope you had a good week so far. Because, nobody wants a shitty week. Anyway, we have a pretty busy docket tonight, actually, on the show. Got a lot to show you, a lot to talk about. But before we do that, let's say hi to everybody and find out who got the cookies. Now, let me back up here. Looks like Quasimodo got the cookie. So, I don't know. I never see him in here. He's always the first, though, to get the cookie. And he takes off. So, we may have to change that at some point. In order to get the cookie, you have to actually be in the show. Or in the chat. Anyway, thanks for popping in, Quasi. Enjoy that cookie. Looks like John Nippenberg got the half cookie. John, congratulations on the half cookie. Enjoy it. It's a hard-working cookie, man. Now we got Tom Grassi. Tom, good to see you here. Kentucky Spike Man 94. Thomas, how's it going? Good to see you. Let's see who else we got. Schuylkill River Valley, John. By the way, thanks for popping in. And happy birthday. I never get tired of saying it. I'm sure you never get tired of hearing it either. And we also have Chuck Schreiber. Chuck, good to see you here. And Hot Dog Pilot Andy. Andy, how's it going? Good to see you here. And Anfield Road Layout in the Loft. Lee, he always watches the replay, which is cool. So anyway, hi Lee, and hope you enjoy the replay. Who else we got here? Curly Express. Dwight, what's going on, man? Good to see you here. Let's see who else we got. I think that's everybody for the moment. I'm sure a few more will pop in, last minute stragglers. They always do. So I'll hold off on the video for a while. I got a couple of videos to show you. One you're going to get a kick out of. I don't know if any of you have seen it or not, but it's pretty cool. Yes, there is a printer working in the back. I started printing up these right here. These are the racks that I'm building. Now they can either sit like that or they'll stand straight up and hang on the wall. That's the way I'll be using them, hanging on the wall. Each one holds 24 bottles of paint. So that's what I'll be doing. And I'm printing them right now. It's going to take a while. Hey, Steve Childer. How you doing, man? Good to see you here. Chopped liver, huh? Okay. Oh, John says, thanks, Jim. It was tasty. Oh, the cookie? Cool. Yeah, I wouldn't want Quasi to get the hump. Yeah, right, there you go. Ah, well, what can I say? So, yeah, so I'm printing those. It takes a while to print them. I'm not sure how many I need. I'm thinking probably at least 2 to start with, possibly a third one down the road. But 2 I think will hold all my bottles of paint. And I'm not even sure where I'm going to put them in that room either. I have to sit down and figure that one out too. Space isn't somewhat of a premium, so 8x6 sounds like a large room, but it really isn't. But it's good enough for what I did, although I'll tell you what, I wish I would have went with like 8x10. Or even 6x10 would have been nice. But this is what I got, so I'm going to be happy with it. And I'll show you the video what it looks like inside there in a little while. Too early to do it yet. That's an awful thing to say, Steve. Oh, possibly. Tom Grassi was telling me that you printed some kind of storage thing for printed parts. No. I think he misunderstood. I did print the parts drawers. It's a little cabinet with, I think there's 8 drawers in it, and with different dividers. They're great for like small screws, washers, some electrical components. I've got LEDs in there. I printed 3 of them so far. I'm going to print more down the road. Because they're really great for handling little stuff that, gets lost if you're not careful. Throwing them in a drawer doesn't really help any. So I start putting everything. I'll show more detail at a later point. I've still got to label each drawer what's in them. But they are nice. Now I am, like I said, I'm printing the, that's these right here. This is one level. You have 4 levels on there. I've got 2 of them put together so far. And 1 printing, and then a 4th one will be done. And I'm wondering if maybe I can't go more than 4 either. I could make them a little longer and just interconnect them, because there's really no reason why you couldn't. So maybe instead of holding 24 bottles, maybe I'll get them to hold 36. We'll see. I'll work on that a little bit. I'm on my last spool of filament, so I did order 4 more replacement refills. I believe they'll be here on the 28th of May. So until they get here, I gotta kind of hope I have enough to get at least something done with what I got. So that's probably what Tom Grassi was talking about, I would imagine. So yesterday was a busy day for both me and the wife and Pogo. Well, Pogo's in the supervisory position. He just lays under the thing and looks at me and says, all right, nods where I want to put things. You can believe that. But I moved a lot of stuff in there yesterday. My wife Debbie, she put the carpet down. Hey, Joe Rader, Black Rock Central, how you doing? Good to see you here. So she put the carpet down, and once the carpet was in, we glued 2 of the corners anyway, and I drug the big bench in there. So, and that was a job in and of itself, let me tell you. That's some heavy wood. But I got it in there, it's in place. I've got the A1 on it on the far left side, the 2 resin printers next to it, the curing box next to that, and I just brought in my mini desktop bench press, put it beside that. So that bench is taken up now with everything that can go on it. And I've got to figure out what I'm going to do for the paint booth. The paint booth will go along the back wall, and I've got to find a stand for it or build a stand. I want it up higher than where it was before. I don't like working down on shit. I like stuff high level. So I'll be working on that over the next week. I did bring in some of the storage drawer assemblies in there. I guess that's what you call them. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in there now. The regular wide, the regular normal width ones, and I've got 1 narrow one in there. I got enough room to stack a second wide one, which is next to the bench. And I think that's going to take care of those things. At some point, I'm going to remove all the drawers and go through everything and probably start, tossing some shit that I either can't use or have no use for. If it's of any value, maybe I'll put it up on a contest and give it away. But I think there's just a lot of junk in there that I probably don't need, and can and have more room and better organization in the drawers. No, I still haven't done the door trim. That's coming. Basically, I ran out of money. I got just enough money in the bank and a few dollars extra to pay for the filament I ordered from Amazon, and then I'm broke until the 1st of the month. So it'll have to wait till after the 1st, and I'll buy the wood for the door trim and get that straightened out. And like I said, that wasn't really that big of a deal for me, No, I won't be giving away any trains. Especially locomotives, not with what they cost. And I'll be looking to buy some at some point, but I don't know when, how much I want to spend, or which ones I want, so. No, I won't even be doing it in a contest, Thomas. It's just. No, you said that stuff's too expensive to give away. And I'm not a rich man, unfortunately. And money's getting tighter and tighter every month around here, I'll tell you what. So basically, I'll be giving away stuff that I have no use for. Still usable stuff. I'm not going to give away garbage, but, you know, whatever I find there, I mean, I don't know what I've got, to be honest with you. I got so much stuff that I really have to start going through it and going, do I really need this? You know. Now, rolling stock and locomotives, obviously I need. You know, because you never have enough of that stuff. But I may have some turnouts that I want to give away. You know, they're in good shape. I need $1 trillion. Actually, I'd settle for 100,000 right now. That would get me completely out of debt with everyone, and give me a few dollars left over to maybe pay somebody to take care of some of the more complicated repairs on my house. Because after building this shed, let me tell you something. I am getting way too old for this shit. It was really hard on me physically. Took way longer than it should have. You know, he said I'm not a young man. I'm 66 years old. I'll be 67 in September. And, you know, it's just as time goes by, I find that, you know, I get a little bit weaker, and there's another thing I used to be able to do with ease that I can't do anymore. Just the way it is. If I have to hire somebody, that's going to be tough, because up in these parts, I mean, I know a good handyman, but he's like ridiculously expensive. And I can't afford to pay him what he thinks he's worth, you know. So I'd have to find somebody else, even if I had to, you know, guide them and not do any of the work, just, you know, you need to do this, this, and this. For a more reasonable figure, I would do that. What am I printing? I am printing a paint rack. And that's what this thing is. This is part of it. And each one of these racks hold 12 bottles of the apple barrel and similar paints. So the rack itself holds 24 bottles when it's completed. And I think I might be able to increase the length of them to maybe go up to 36. I don't know. We'll see. That's what I'm printing on my last full of filament. I don't even know if I'll have enough filament to get one rack done. But hopefully, we'll see. See what else is going on. Yeah, so I cleaned up some of the mess here. I mean, it's a little... well, here's a camera. I'll show you. It's not quite as bad as it was. Got a big gap now that the big bench is out of here. Of course, I'm going to buy another bench at some point and put it in here. Once I get the paints put up, and there's a bunch of other shit that's just laying around, I expect to have trains running in time for the next show next Thursday. So if all goes well, you'll get to see trains 15 minutes before the show starts. Jim, you're getting a Frosted Flakes boxcar. Okay, is that what the locomotive is supposed to be sending me to? I don't know. I haven't seen anything yet, so I guess we'll see if it gets here. Hey, Raymond, how's it going? Just got here. Yes, you did, sir. Well, I hope it's HO, Thomas, because I can't use anything else. I don't run on the scale, O scale, or G scale, or N scale, or S scale, strictly HO. So we'll see. Anyway, so, had a tough time putting the end pieces on. this rack. Actually, I had to lock them in the vise because they were really a tight fit, and I don't know why. The A1 usually does a very good job of, getting everything situated. So once this dries in about a half an hour or so, I'll take it out. I did the same with the other one. So, and I'll do this, probably have to do the same with the next two that I finish actually doing. I'm actually working on your locomotive, John. Okay, that's cool. So I watched your video, Thomas. It looks like you're back to HO again. I'm so confused. You go to HO, then you go to N, then you go to O scale, and you go back to N. Now you're back in H and O. I mean, I have no idea what the hell you're doing. It's a nice locomotive setup you got there, though, the HO scale. So, are you selling the stuff you're not using anymore? I mean, there's guys here that run O scale that might, if the price is right, they might be willing to buy some of your rolling stock or even your locomotives. So you should probably think about, selling anything you're actually not using. Yeah, I know. I watched the video, so that's I got that idea. It was vinyl. That's pretty cool. Like I said, it's a nice little set. What else I got going here? I'm still moving stuff out. I took a bunch of, power tools out and hand tools that I had over here. I no longer require. I still have my skill saw here because I'll need it for, well, I don't know, I might use that or I might use my chop saw back in the garage. That's where I keep it. I don't have room for it here. But to cut the trim pieces, it'd probably be easier to do it on a chop saw. So, we'll see. Anyways, I've got still stuff all over the place. I'll get it all organized here in the next couple of days. And hopefully I'll get this all cleaned up. I'm actually keeping my O scale because I'm using it for, oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Put it around the tree. Didn't think of that. Good idea, Thomas. So, I don't know how many people are gonna. I want to wait till 6:30. Got about 13 minutes, and I'll run the first video. And actually, I got two videos. Like I said, I've got an interesting one that somebody caught, and then I've got the update on the shed. So they're both good ones. The update on my shed's about 10 minutes long. The other one I think is about a minute thereabouts. It's not very long. Plus I'm moving to a new house now. Oh, that's cool, Thomas. So yeah, I bought an air conditioner for the living room in the main house a couple of weeks ago, and it's running beautifully. It's called a U-shaped air conditioner. It sits in the windowsill, and it's split. You got the outside part, the inside part, but there's still one piece. But there's a gap in the middle that the window comes down and locks the whole shit together. It's pretty slick. I paid a little over $500 for it. It's 12,000 BTU, and I'll tell you what, it cools the center of the house, which is the living room, dining room, and part of the, I might as well say the kitchen too. Keeps it pretty ice cold in there when we want it to be, so. And Thomas says that means they'll have a bigger Lionel HO. Well, that's cool. You staying in the same town, or are you moving out of town or out of state, or you just changing houses? Alright, I wish Tom would hurry up and get to 6:30 so I can play these things. So I'm actually very happy with how the new shed turned out. Like I said, it's a little tight in there, which is fine. But it's going to be big enough for what I needed to do. And like I said, it opens up a whole bunch of space in here. And it's going to not be as cluttered in here. So it'll be cool. Just changing houses. It's a pole barn house. Never seen a pole barn house before. Sounds pretty cool. So like I said, the toughest part's going to be figuring out where to put the spray booth at. Only one place you can go is on the back wall in between, almost in the middle where I have an outlet there ready for the electric for it. And I just got to get it at the right height. So I may have to start going to some of the thrift shops and see if there's, maybe an end table or something big enough to, for it to sit on. Tom's Trains and Things. Hey, Tom, how's it going? I knew there'd be some stragglers. That's why I'm waiting to show the next video. Actually, I got 2 good videos to show. You'll get a kick out of one. I'll tell you what, it's nice in there right now. It's very cool in here, and it's actually cooling off that other room too than the other shed. Jim, I seen videos of your old layout in Naples. It was a nice small layout. Yeah, it was a little too small to suit me, but at the time it was good, As I said, I wanted to go into a place where I had land. Where I lived before, I didn't have any land. I mean, it was a little yard, and the house was pretty much built out as much as I could go with it. And I just decided it was time to sell and get the hell out of Naples, and I moved up here, and I'm much happier. I've got a little bit of land here. I don't have any neighbors really. Well, I got one lunatic neighbor next door to me, but as long as he keeps to himself, we'll have no problems. So we'll see. Hey, he was a nice guy at first, and all of a sudden he turned on me. Threatened to kill my dog, all kinds of shit. It's like, dude, what the fuck's your problem, I don't like you anymore. You're an idiot. Fuck you, man, He got my face, and I said, you do that again, I'll fucking lay your ass out. I may be disabled, but I'm not fucking dead yet. Don't ever fucking stick your fingers in my chest. He backed right the fuck off, too. I guess he figured, I wasn't fucking around, and I wasn't either. If he'd have done it again, I would have fucking popped him right in the fucking face. I don't give a shit, Plus, he was on my property anyway. So, that's when you get out the pistol. Well, he knows I'm armed, too, and that's another thing. I said, dude, don't threaten me or fuck with me. I got guns, right? Okay. Well, you will when you're dead. Well, briefly, anyway. But no, he's been keeping to himself, so that's fine. I don't know what's wrong with him. I think it had something to do with my mother-in-law, because she went over there before she moved out and wanted him to, because he has a pickup truck, and she wanted him to help her move to another place. Jim has a local Karen now. There you go. So, I don't know what she said. Well, he come to me and he says, look, I don't want to move your mom. Well, why don't you just fucking tell her that? Well, I want you to handle it. I says, well, it would sound better coming out of your mouth because she ain't going to believe me, I said, I'll tell her, but, I don't think it's gonna go one ear and out the other. So right before she moved, she went back over there and asked him again. I don't know what was said, but she must have said something or something happened, and that was like that day he got an attitude with me. I used to go over there every couple of days and talk to him. He builds boats and shit, for a hobby, and nice guy, pretty smart and all. And we got along really well. We have similar political interest and whatever, but I don't know what happened. He just like, fuck you. I don't want your dog over here. I'll kill it if it comes here. You fucking kill my dog, I'll kill you, motherfucker, So you've been feeding my dog for 5 fucking years every day, and then you decide you don't want him over here anymore? what the fuck's wrong with you, you know? That's fine. I'll put him on the leash. And that's what I got to start putting him on the leash, you know, because he would run over there because, you know, that's what he thought every day. He'd go over there and get a treat. So, what the fuck's wrong with these people? They're all idiots. Yeah, I saw the watch, Thomas. I commented on it, I believe, on your short. So, you know, but that's the only issues I got here. The rest of my neighbors are fine. I only have a few of them anyway. We all get along fine. We respect each other's boundaries, and the way it should be, you know. So, let's see. I think everybody's here now. Tom Grassie's here. Tom Kavitchak's here. I'm going to go ahead and run the shed video. Or wait a minute. Let me run the other one first, because it's funny. And it's so funny that I'm going to run my newest lead into it. Let's see, is it this one here? Yeah. That was the local waste collection truck, well, the shit wagon, honey wagon, whatever you want to call it. The guy was out to the guy that filmed it. I guess he was rail fanning, and he just happened to catch it. And that's a lot of crap, man. I didn't say what happened to the guy driving the truck. I didn't see him in the truck, but he might have been, you know, passed out in the seat, or might have died from the collision. Who knows? But man, I tell you what, that fucking train just hit that tank. Tore right off the truck, ripped it open, shit's everywhere. I saw that on YouTube the other day. I said, I gotta keep that one or put it on my show. It's train related, so we can get away with it, you know. Unbelievable. I mean, what are the odds? And if that truck just been going a little bit faster, he might have cleared the train, because look like the train clipped maybe the last third of it. Yeah, the shit was flying on that one, man. Unbelievable. I mean, what are the odds? You know, that'll really never happen again. Imagine how bad it smelled even on a locomotive. Because I'm sure some of that shit got on the loco and them guys had to smell it. And everybody in the area must have smelled it too. I mean, that would be bad. And if the guy did live, pretty sure he got fired after that one. What the fuck? Alright, well anyway, I had to show that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, it sucks in a way, but it was still funny no matter how you look at it. You just won't see something like that very often, if at all. And the fact that there was a guy standing there, you know, watching the train, and just happened to be in the right place. Bet the waste collection crew got, yeah, I'm sure they did. Could you imagine the cleanup out there for that? Oh, man. That would be a well, that'd be considered an environmental catastrophe, I guess. He added some shit to that, right? Yeah, he did. I'm guessing that truck was nearly full. I mean, it just tore the top of the tank and the shit's flying everywhere, man. Oh, it's bad. Ah, unbelievable. Funny, though. That's a fan fertilizer situation. Yes, it is. I mean, I saw that going, oh my God, I gotta save that one. That septic waste, yeah, there you go. The shit was flying that day. I'd say the shit hit the fan, but there were no fans involved, so, you know. Except unless you count the real fanning, but, you know. Oh, that was bad. Anyway. That brings a tear to my eye, man. That was so funny. Alright, listen, we've gotten through that. Let me go ahead and run the other video of the shed update. This is the latest one. I shot it today. It'll give you an idea of what I've done so far. So here we go. Hey everybody, Jim Tedesco here from Millennium County Railroad version 2.5. Pretty soon it'll be 3.0. We're making some progress in here. The ceiling is up. I gotta seal the seams yet. All the walls are up, electric's in. We have plenty of lighting. Yeah, 2 lights over here at 8-foot strip. And 8 foot over here. I've got to tie up the wires yet and wipe down the walls, and I'm going to put the seam tape in. I'm going to work on that tomorrow. And of course, the carpet's got to go down yet. I need to sweep everything out of here because it's a mess. And get the carpet down and then get the bench in here. So the sink's operational now. And the drain goes out there, out to the side. So I still have to put a hole in the wall when I figure out where the paint booth's going to go. I'm not sure where that's going yet. It'll be on this wall somewhere. Probably be right in the middle there, right over the, right under the socket. Not sure. I've got enough room to put 3 of the drawer containers in here, standing up, and 1 underneath. So I'll get 4 of them in here anyway. I think that's all that's going to happen. And then the 5-foot bench, which literally takes up most of the area. So it's getting there. Like I said, I've got to tie up wires yet and put the seam tape up everywhere. And of course, at some point I got to finish this doorway too. I've got to get wood for that. And we'll get that straightened out at some point. Not in a big hurry for it. So it's getting there. Of course, I've still got a major mess in here, but that goes without saying. Like I said, hopefully once I get the carpet down, I'll get this bench cleaned off and get it moved in there and then start set up the printers. And once the printers are in, then I can start printing some paint racks. And get those hung up on the wall. Not sure where I'm putting those yet either. I'll figure it out when the time comes. Yeah, that's about it, I guess. Like I said, everything's a big mess right now, but, well, you wouldn't expect anything less anyway. I'll get it straightened out at some point. And like I said, the trains won't be running this Thursday, but I have a feeling they'll be running next Thursday. We'll see. If all goes well, I should be able to have them operational. So that'll be a treat for everybody. Of course, nobody will see this until Thursday, because I'm not going to post it until it goes on my show. So I'm getting ready to sneeze. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll update you as soon as more work is done. Talk to you soon. Hey everybody, Jim Tedesco here. Millennium County Railroad version, 3.0. We can safely do 3.0 now. So that's what it's going to be called. And Pug was relaxing after a few hours of hard work. So let me show you what I've got actually in there. A lot of hard work that both me and Pogo have done. Still got a lot more to do in here yet, a little bit. I mean, things like this doorway have to be finished out. I still got more seams to tape, but we've got the printers in here. There's the Bamboo Labs A1 is printing away. It's actually printing some paint racks that I'm going to need plenty of. There's the two resin printers, the Anycubic and the Creality. There's the curing box. I've got enough room to put in my benchtop drill press, which will be coming later today probably. There's some parts for the paint racks that have already been printed. This is a small area, but it doesn't need to be big. So I've got some of the storage boxes in here. Well, I don't know if you call them storage boxes, but I've got two of them there, one on the floor, and a narrow one next to it. Now, I think I can get some more over here, possibly two more. And then somewhere in the middle here is going to be the paint booth. I have to find some way to elevate it to the height that I absolutely need it. I still have some tape work to do here as far as closing up these seams. But other than that, we're looking good. The sink's in and operational, as I pointed out earlier. So overall, we're doing pretty damn good. Now, at some point, I want to break into all these drawers and really do some serious cleanup, because I think I have a lot more crap here that I could probably throw away that I need to have. The good news is it's opened up a really big area here. Of course, I'm going to eventually put another bench like that one in there, right over in here. It'll fit perfectly. That'll be my little workshop area. So, and without really crowding up the whole room, which will be nice. So, that's another thing. I'm going to have to move that paper towel holder. Or maybe I'll leave that one there and make another one, print another one for in the room over the sink. We'll see. So there's so many things that have to be done. Of course, I still have a major mess in here. Have to figure out where all this stuff is going to go. But I'll get it organized this week. And hopefully have trains running next week. That's the plan anyway. So we'll see. So things are still kind of a bit of a mess, but that's to be expected in a big undertaking like this. But overall, I'd say we're right on target and doing well. So, until the next update comes up, thanks for watching, and we'll show you more soon. All right, Pogo. You see you wag that tail. See some tail wagging fun. Or not. He's such a shy dog. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I got going so far. Now the lighting was, I got big lights in there. And do you have any? No, I don't have any track nails. I used to, but I used them all up, and I haven't used them since. Sorry. Yeah, Pogo. What the hell was I lost my train of thought, damn it. I hate when that happens. It fell off the track. I gotta get the crane in there and get it back on the track. What the hell was I gonna say? I got a lot more cleanup to do in here, and I'll be doing that over the coming week. And like I said, getting the trains running too. I only need a good half day to get the trains operational. So it won't take much time to do that. Mostly what I've got to do is get everything cleaned up off the bench work. You know, I've got every available space is taken up by stuff. And I have a lot of stuff. I mean, I've got the clear fake water stuff. I got 4 boxes of it. I finally see the doggy now. Now the cats aren't allowed in here. We have 3 cats in the house and 3 outside. They're outside cats and 3 indoor cats. The outdoor cats, they keep the rats and the mice, and I saw one battling a snake the other day. The snake lost. So the cats actually serve a purpose here. But the indoor cats, they're alright. They get along with the dogs somewhat. But in here, no. If I had a cat, he'd have the whole place tore up inside of a week. So no cats in the train room. Just my dog. I have 3 dogs too, by the way, but Pogo's the only one that really comes out here. Lucky he has a weak bladder, so I don't want him in here. And Baron, he's old. Deb just adopted him. He's 10 years old. He's a good dog. He's potty trained and all, but not really very active, you know, because of his age. What happened to your BNSF logos? They're on the bench somewhere. I got everything everywhere. Like I said, I've got to reorganize and figure out what works and what doesn't, and repair what doesn't, and utilize what does. So there's a lot of work to be done. But not so much that I can't get trains running for next week. Because technically the outside main line is operational. The inside one is not yet, because I have a small section of track to put in just beyond the drop down, and a piece of track down halfway down the slideway there, because I removed the junction for the short line. So the short line is going to be an independent track now, so, and that's something I'll get to later on. I'm not in a big hurry for that. Dogs, cats. Yeah, that's the wife. She loves animals. I mean, she come up the other, well, it was a few weeks ago, and she was, look at this dog, can I have? And I'm going, you already have a dog. Well, I want another one. All right, well, go and get him. So we went down and adopted him. Cost me $50. Yeah, they give me a discount because the dog's old, right? And he was intact. You know, so he didn't cut his balls off. They left the sack there, but they removed the nuts from inside the sack. So he doesn't have any testicles anymore, but just an old withered sack. Hey, why don't you at least put, nudicles in there? And they could have done it right then there, wouldn't you? Because if you had done after the fact, it's $5,000 because of the operation. They rebuild the sack and shit, but they could have just, I don't know why they didn't leave them in there. To do a vasectomy, cut the two lines, and that's it, And I said, realistically, and I was kind of pissed off about it. I said, look, the dog's 10 years old. There's no females in our house. And even if they had the wherewithal to try and have sex with one of them, I don't see that happening at 10 years old. So why not just leave them be? Well, it's the law, sir. Well, the law is stupid, and it needs to be changed. You're putting that dog's life at risk by putting him under and removing his nuts at 10 years old. It don't make sense. But they did it anyway, so, it's bullshit. So at least he can still lick his empty sack anyway, but it's not the same thing. Thomas, I need nails to stabilize my Lino HO track. It's code 100. Now, I used to have some nails, but even if I do, I probably have just a handful of them, if even. And I'd have to dig them up. I don't know where they're at, and I don't know how I would get them to you. So, and they're pretty cheap. I mean, you can go on eBay and get like 100 of them for like $5. And it's probably your best bet to just, go ahead and buy some. Or do what I do and use Elmer's glue and glue the tracks down. And if you ever have to bring them back up, you just wet the tracks, and Elmer's breaks down with water. So you won't hurt the track any and you're good to go. I think it does a better job than the track nails personally anyway. But that's just me. So, anyway, I have got a ton of shit here that I really have no idea what I'm going to do with a lot of it. I said I may be throwing out a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not really anything of any importance. Now, I've got in one of the drawers, I think it's that one there, which I'm not going to move anyway, but a whole plastic drawer is full of the tree trunks, I guess you call them, or tree frames that I printed. I thought I was going to need them, so I overprinted, and I've pretty much got most of the trees that I want up on the layout. So I could probably toss those, unless somebody wants them. I'll send them to you if you want to pay the shipping, but and then like how you do is I just put spray glue on them, on everything but the trunk, and dip them in flocking, and they come up. Well, you've seen them right here. See if I can show you some. Yeah, right there. Those are all homemade trees. And they don't look bad. I mean, they look better than, the Chinese shit. Not as good as some of the things like that Crooked Dave makes by hand, but so they're good enough for what I need them for, so. But I said I've got a whole drawer full of those frames. I'm not going to use them, so I mean, if somebody wants them, let me know. We'll work out. Like I said, I won't charge you nothing for them, just pay for the shipping, and I don't know what the hell the shipping will cost, but otherwise I'm just going to toss them, What else do I got? I know I got 2 drawers full of rolling stock. Most of it's broken or missing parts, so I'm going to go through that and try and rebuild 90% of it. Get it on the layout. See, what else have we got here? Got a lot of electronic stuff that I probably will never use. So I'll probably toss a lot of that shit. Like I said, just keep the things that I can actually utilize. So we'll see, Like I said, I've got resin, I've got the fake water, or actually the polyurethane clear coat. I got a few boxes of that. I got 2 or 3 jugs of resin. What else I've got here? I got empty spools for the refills, for the filament. I want to see a lot of paint. I got paint bottles all over the place. That's why I said I'm going to have to make a rack or several racks. I'd say at least 2 of them. And if I could, get them past 24 bottle capacity, that'd be even better. And I might just put them over where I showed you the double stack of the drawers are. Put them on the wall there. They'll be easy enough to get to, and they'll be out of the way, and that's a good place to hang them. And any of the bigger stuff I have, I've got individual racks for those which I'll reuse. That's another thing. All the racks that I won't be using, if anybody wants those, let me know. Same deal. I'll give them to you. You pay the shipping. Otherwise, I'm just going to toss them. Derek, what's printing? These things right here. These are racks for the apple barrel paints. And here's a picture of them when it's fully assembled. Now that's sitting there, that's standing on a flat bench. But if you pick it up by the handle, it stands straight up. And you can hang it on the wall, and that's what I'll be doing with mine. So mine will be hanging on the wall, so I'm figuring at least 2 of them. And I might be able to get more out of them than what it shows there. It looks like you can add to it. So one rack holds 24 bottles. I think I can get 24, 26, 7, 29, 30. I'm thinking I can get either 30 or 36 bottle capacity out of them. So we'll see. I'll just keep printing them until, So the biggest problem I got right now is on my last spool of filament. And I've got better than half a roll left. So I might be able to wrap up at least one rack. I do have more on order. I ordered 4 refills from Amazon. And they're not auto racks, Dwight, they're paint racks. So I have no interest in getting auto racks. I don't really have any place to set them, this like a parking area. Like if you have like a manufacturing plant, a car manufacturing plant, auto racks would be a good idea. Because then you could have some sitting at the auto plant or even on the rail or you're transporting them. I have neither. So, and they're really large, so I'm not going to get any. I'll stick with box cars, gondolas, tankers. I'd like to get more tankers. And I may be printing some of those too. Since now I know how to print them and make them look good. Alright, Andy, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in. Sleep well. Have a good and safe weekend, and we'll see you next week. Yeah, I've been sleeping my ass off lately. I sleep well at night now, much better than I used to, I think, because I'm so active. And I nap a lot more too. But Amtrak had an auto train one. Yeah, well, they still do. I think it runs. I don't know if it runs east-west or if it actually goes up north-south too. I don't remember. But I'm not going to add on to my Amtrak because I don't really have room for it. So I'm going to keep the Amtrak where it's at now. I got 4 cars, I think. Where the hell are they even? They're out of my line of sight, I think. Oh, there they are. I got 1, 2, 3. I got 3 cars. 2 passenger cars and a dome car, which is the Donald Trump dome car. So, and I've got them all lit up, and it's good enough for what I need. I don't need anything big and fancy. And I've got the, Tom Grassi got me the Motorman device for it to run it back and forth on its own. I got to get that hooked up too at some point. Now we can finally talk about Andy like we do when he leaves. We don't do that, Derek. At least I don't anyway. Funny guy. So, and I've got to get another Motorman later on to run the Shortline. Now, amazingly, the train comes through every day around 9 o'clock. The Sugar Shortline. And they got 2 more locomotives with the new paint scheme, which I have pictures of. I'll have to show them to you one of these days. But they got 2 of them now. They're both SD45s. I don't know if they got. I don't know if they might sell off the GP38s. I'm not sure because I haven't seen them lately. Because that's what they were using. That's what I initially painted on the old paint scheme. So if they got rid of them, I'll probably, I don't know what I'll do with them. Maybe I'll sell them. I don't know, but actually one's a dummy and the other one is DCC with sound. I converted over. But I'll pick up 2 SD45s. I know they got a tunnel motor as well. So I may pick up 1 tunnel motor and maybe a couple of SD45s. And run those on the Shortline with, tankers and what the hell they running with the tankers and the covered hoppers. Who you calling a dummy? Hey, Wigwag. Steven, how's it going, man? Good to see you there. So, Thomas says, I know one Amtrak called the Silver Star. It runs through Plant City, Florida. Yeah, that's one of them. Like I said, I don't really keep track of a lot of that stuff. But, you know, it is what it is. So, I have that going back and forth, too, on its own. So, I have basically two autonomous trains, Amtrak and the Sugar Line, and I'll be operating the two main lines manually. So, like I said, then, you know, I still got to get the chip out outside for the Helix. I'm not sure when I'm going to do the Helix. Probably won't be until possibly August. We'll see. I'm not in a big hurry to get it done, but it would be nice because right now I can't connect the top with the bottom. I've got my yard up there on the second floor, second story. That's on the right side. And I've got the junkyard, the oil pumps, and there's some small businesses on the left side. I've got the intermodal yard on the very back, some oil storage tanks on the very back in the corner, and I still got to put more stuff up there as well. Like I said, that's gonna take time. It's not high on the priority list. Getting the bottom level absolutely done is more important to me right now. So I'll be working on getting that accomplished, cleaned up, get everything, you know, upgraded and where I want to, and we'll see. And of course, Debbie's got her glass and bottle factory, which I printed a whole bunch of stuff for, so she's going to probably want to start working on that now that her eyes are fixed. So, but you know, right now she doesn't even have room to do anything there. So I got to get all this shit cleaned up. And I will. Jim, what about the Southern Pacific Bloody Nose? I still have it. I'm going to repaint it. I think I've got 4 or 5 locomotives. And I'm going to do my new paint scheme in, which is blue and silver. And I'm going to get rid of a lot of, like I said, the Southern Pacific. I don't need that on my layout. I mean, I need the logo, but I don't need the road name. So I'll convert that to the Millennium County livery. And I think the only ones I'm not going to mess with are the BNSFs. They're going to stay the same. But I've got a few different road names and locos, so they're all going to get repainted in time. Like I said, that's not a high priority right now, but at some point it will. You guys remember I did the switcher with the new paint scheme, the blue and silver. It came out pretty nice. The SW 1000. So, and I converted that over to DCC without sound. And that actually works really well. So that'll actually go up on the yard when the time comes. It won't be running on the bottom level. I've got 2 lakes to pour, hence the need for the clear polyurethane. I'll get to those maybe in a month or so, I don't know. That's one of those things that I want the paint scheme underneath to be just right. Because I went ahead and I did this one the first time and I didn't like the paint underneath it. It didn't look real. And I said, bullshit, so I got enough room to pour another thin coat on top of it. And this time I'll actually dye or put dye or paint in the clear coat to get the effect that I want. So, but the one back there, Joe Lake or Lake Joe, I never did that one. It's just I painted it, but I don't like the colors, so I'm going to redo them. I'm not sure. You know, lakes are funny. You can have a really crystal clear lake water, or you can have a murky lake water. Most of the real lakes I've been to, like in Indiana, Ohio, places like that, those were more murkier lakes. You know, they weren't really clear. You know, and up there they call that the beach, you know. I go to the Center Lake in Warsaw, Indiana, where my sister lives. When I was hanging around with her up there for a while, on the weekends that's where we used to go, and that was the beach for them. You want to go to the beach? There ain't no beach here. You're in the middle of the fucking country. Ah, it's a lake, but we call it the beach. All right, yeah, I'll go. It was pretty cool. There was nothing dangerous in the water. You didn't have to worry about, you know, sharks or stingrays or any of that other shit you would find in the Gulf or the Atlantic. But they had thick grass, I guess, on the bottom, so when you walked around it, it felt weird, you know. After you got past that, though, it was really cool, so. Let's see, Thomas says, for Christmas I'm going to get the Pennsylvania 482 and HO. I thought it would be cool to have. There you go. It will have sound. No, that's the way to go. I said, I already have one steamer. I'm not going to buy another one. Well, actually, I have two technically. Because I've got 148 for the sugar line. That's going to be the... Well, I don't know. Yeah, that's how it's going to work. Because I think that's going to be more of an exhibition locomotive that I'll run once in a great while. But mostly, I'll have the two diesels, the SD45s, pulling the sugar cane, so. And I still got to put the sound card and DCC in the steam loco, the 148 too. Like I said, I converted most of it over to look like the 148. It's very close. But I haven't gotten the DCC and sound in there yet. And I'll get to it. So, all together, things are starting to pan out. It's been a little longer than what I want it to be, but hey, you know, it is what it is, and you know, it's not fast anymore. I mean, not even close. So, you know, it's like, well, this sucks, but I'm getting kind of used to it, though, I guess. You know, it's a realization you get when you get older. And, you know, my wife's always complaining. She says, you know, I don't know, I have no energy anymore. You know, Deb, you're getting old. I'm not old. But yeah, you are. You know, she's the same age as me, 66 at the moment. I'm technically like 4 months older than her, but for a short period we're the same age. Her birthday's in April and mine's in September, so. But, you know, I said to her, I said, you know, look, I says, you say it's not old age, but how do you know? You've never been this old before, neither have I. I've known old people, you know, and they make it a habit of telling you all their problems. And, you know, if you're smart, you remember all of it so that, you know, like the one guy I knew, he says, you're not old enough yet, but if you live long enough, you'll see all these things happen. And he's right, you know. So, but it's hard to explain, especially to women, because women, I mean, they fight aging anyway. I mean, some men do too, probably, but I don't fight the aging. I'm happy to be alive, you know. As, you know, I says, well, I don't want to grow old. They said, well, then the alternative of that is death, and you don't want to be dead either. So it's better to grow old and at least be alive than to not grow old and, well, you're dead, you know. Not a good deal. But, you know, the reality is, though, is that none of us truly know what it's like to get old because we've never done it. I mean, my dad was, 40 years older than me. So I kind of seen some of it firsthand, but he was in better shape than most people his age. I mean, in his 60s, he'd have ran rings around me right now, and that's because I had the stroke. If I didn't have a stroke, I think I'd have been way, way different. I would probably be like I was 30 or 40 years ago. But, I watched him decline slowly, and he fought his age too, but, because 80 years old, he's up on the fucking roof of the house, what the hell are you doing up there? If you fall off, you're going to die. I ain't going to fall. You don't know that. They had him over medicated with blood pressure medicine, so he would almost pass out on occasions. And I says, and you went up on the roof knowing that? Are you stupid? Get down off here. I'll do it for you, because that was before the stroke, and I took care of most of that shit because, better suited for it. So I did kind of get to see what it was like to grow old. Especially with that 40-year difference, I mean, he made it to 91, and of course the last 2 years he was alive. The Alzheimer's got him a little bit, but just enough to put him in a home. A decision I regret, by the way. I wish I'd have never done it. I think he'd probably be still alive. Well, he wouldn't be alive now, but I think he would have probably went another 5 or 6 years. Because I'm reasonably sure they killed him in the home. But we don't really have any guides. There's no owner's manual that tells you what to expect when you get a certain age. So here we are, and I know a lot of you guys are way older than I am, probably in better shape. Like Tom Kavitchak, for example. I was watching him install the mini split in his house the other day on his show. He videotaped it. And he climbs up a ladder like I used to do 40 years ago. And I think he's in the 70s. Son of a bitch, man, that's pretty good, Like I said, if I hadn't had the stroke, I'd probably be in the same boat, but shit happens, and I have no control over that, so. But at some point, everybody does slow down. They get to a point where they realize they can't do things either the same way they did or as easily. And you just have to deal with it and accept it, and that's the normal part of aging. Like I said, I don't worry about it. I figured as long as I can walk, as long as my mind still works, I'm happy. I'm good to go. Either one of those quit, though, I don't know. It might get pretty bad. Hey, Russ, how's it going, man? Good to see you here. You missed all the fun, but you can watch the replay. So, like I said, it is what it is, And of course, the most important part of growing old is having a hobby. I think if you don't have a hobby, you'll probably, yeah, exactly, get busy living or get busy dying. That's the truth of it, If you have a hobby and a reason to go on, you'll probably be fine. You're going to sit in the easy chair all day and watch TV or lament your position in life. You're not going to do well. You're not going to live long. I've seen enough of that, too. And guys that retire and they just don't know what to do with themselves. They have no hobbies. And all of a sudden they went from being a workaholic to sitting in their easy chair watching the hours go by. And they drop dead after a few months or years. I was doing a YouTube video, Jim. I went, okay, that's cool. I'll have to look for it after the show. If you haven't already posted. Oh, excuse me. So, like I said, things are what they are, Hopefully the world doesn't end anytime soon, 'cause I'll be mad if it does. After going through all this work and I'll just have it all fucking get destroyed. I'll be a little pissed. It was funny. I was reading an MSN article today, and they said by the year 2100, which is a long ways away, by the way, that the seas will rise by 9 meters. That's that's 27 feet. And it's funny because they showed a map of how it was going to affect the United States. All right, John, have a good one, man. Thanks for coming. Have a good and safe weekend, and we'll see you next week. And enjoy your birthday. So, well, no, Derek, you should absolutely sit there and watch my live stream. Just, I mean, if you're doing it 24/7, now that probably wouldn't be good. But you know, once a week is not a problem. The hell was they saying? Oh yeah, so the elevation of Sebring, Florida, is I might have fucked up the first number. The elevation of Sebring is 27 meters, which is like 148 foot above sea level. Now, if it's 3 meters. If the seas rise 3 meters, that's roughly 9 foot, give or take. We're not going to worry about it here. Now, Miami might, go under. Naples and Fort Myers might go under because they're 3 foot above sea level. So, yeah, they're going to be in trouble. But they were showing the entire state of Florida underwater. And I go, well, first off, that's a fucking lie. Because Sebring in Central Florida is approximately 148 foot above sea level, which is a lot more than 9 foot last I looked. But this is the bullshit that they pull on you trying to change. First off, I'm not going to be alive in the year 2100 anyway. Jim, when I was in Key West, I was 6 inches above sea level. Well, the Keys would definitely go under, probably. But first off, I don't even know how they come up with these numbers. They have no idea what's going to happen in, let's see, it's 2030 or 2026. The 2100, that's, my math is bad now. That's a long time away. How can these idiots can't even tell you when it's going to fucking rain the same day. They predicted thunderstorms yesterday. Didn't happen. Sebring is where they are going to park the ark. There you go. Chuck says we're at 1,320 foot elevation. You have nothing to worry about. They said New Jersey, New York, the Carolinas, Virginia, like most of the East Coast will be gone. Florida's completely gone off the map. A small part of Texas is gone, and on the West Coast, for some reason, they don't lose anything. I guess the water's not going to rise on that side of the country, which once again is bullshit. 74 years, okay. So, I'm not going to be, none of us will be alive in 74 years, pretty sure, So, who the fuck cares? And once again, I said, they can't predict the weather the same day it happens. And they're going to tell us that the seas are going to rise 3 meters, or 9 feet, thereabouts, in 74 years. How did they even know this? I mean, so they're basically saying, well, the big glacier in Antarctica is melting. Okay. But we don't know if it'll still be melting in 74 years. It might refreeze. We don't know. If it does, big deal. And once again, I don't think there's enough volume there to raise the entire seas around the world, because it wouldn't just affect the United States, it would be worldwide. It would raise the seas 9 feet all the way around the world. And they never talk about Europe or Africa or China or Japan. I mean, Japan would be gone too. You know, they're not very high either. But they don't talk about them places like they won't be affected. Just the United States. Same old bullshit from them. The polar caps are all going to melt. Is all, yeah, it probably is. I heard that they were actually getting thicker. A few months ago, somebody said they, according to satellite evidence, that they're actually growing and not shrinking. So I don't know. Yeah. And who cares anyway, you know. But this is the kind of shit that they throw on you. And of course, they're trying to start up a new pandemic, potentially with the hantavirus, which is also bullshit. Hantavirus has never been contagious. Now all of a sudden it is. Well, ain't that fucking convenient? You know, this shit's gotta stop. It really does. It's getting ridiculous. And even if all this shit comes true, ain't nothing you can do about it. So, we're screwed. You know, if that's what happens. Big deal. Chuck says, very true, Derek. We're about 175 miles from the Gulf Coast. There you go. And what about Mexico? Baja's right like a foot above sea level. Wouldn't Baja be gone too? But no, it's fine. Just the east coast of the United States and Florida. You know, Florida will be gone because, you know, and the reason there's, you know, they don't want people moving to Florida because, you know, we don't play the bullshit down here like they do in some other states. We're a hard red state, and we have more rights and privileges probably here than most of the country does. And it just pisses them right off. And ain't no fucking way we're going to be masking up or doing the 6 foot fucking social distance. We ain't going to do that shit, man. And we ain't taking no fucking injections either. So, you know, their plan ain't going to work here. Now, they work on the blue states. And I figure that's just the way to get rid of the idiots anyway. But it's amazing, though, that it just never stops. You know. Right, Thomas? But yeah, exactly. They're all buying waterfront property. Remember the Obamas? Oh, yeah, climate change is happening. All of the borders are going to sink, or the coastal cities are going to. So what do? They buy fucking 20 acres in Martha's Vineyard, right? Right on the fucking water. Oh, what are you guys exempt? Are you special? Yeah. Same thing. If there was a serious problem, they would probably stop flying their jets. Because that's got to contribute more to air pollution than cars do. But they jet around all over the place. Yeah. Same thing with the rockets. Shut the rockets down. One rocket probably does more environmental damage than anything does. I don't know that for a fact, but if I were going to blame it on something, that would be it. I'd blame it. I'd be quicker to blame it on that than I would be cow farts, right? Russ says I'm at about 180 foot. There's a 1,500 foot high mountain range between me and the Pacific Ocean. Not that it matters in 74 years. As I said, well, I'll be dead anyway, you know. But even if by some weird miracle we live that long, which would be unheard of, it'd be like, what, 150? It could happen, you never know, but not likely. Yeah, if the water started creeping up, I'd probably look at it and go, well, I'm fine where I'm at, so who the fuck cares? Yeah. Eric says one volcano eruption does more than civilization. Exactly, as far as pollution goes. Absolutely. Remember when Mount St. Helens went in Washington State? I think it's Washington. That was back in the 80s or the 70s. No, it was the 80s, I think. They said that caused more damage to the environment than any other catastrophe we've had to date, including man-made catastrophes. And you have no control over that. But It obviously didn't do anything permanent because, hey, everything's fine now, isn't it? Tom says we should all meet here on YouTube in 74 years and tell them, why are we still here? I'm not sure what that means, but I mean, if we could, that would be cool, wouldn't it? I mean, my kids may see that. Well, no, not my grandkids will. My kids are not far behind me, so they probably won't see it either. It's all bullshit. So I don't even worry about it, but just that they're really starting to piss on everybody's parade. I meant fuck you, okay. Tell them fuck you, we still here. There you go. I don't think I'll be here in 74 years. Well, not. Well, I'll be dead and buried, more likely. God created the earth. He will end it when he is ready. Man has absolutely no control over that. I agree with that, Russ. And whether he will or not, no one knows. And if he does decide to, ain't nothing we're going to do about it. So, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. So rather than worry about shit like that, 'cause my wife says, she says, I don't know how you can listen to that day in, day out. Doesn't it mess with your head? I said, no, because I don't believe most of it anyway. I remember when Al Gore said in 5 or 10 years the earth would end from climate change, and that was like 30 years ago. And Greta the cunt. Yeah, Greta Thunberg. The Dutch boy. She said the earth would end in 5 years. That was like 10 years ago. These people have no fucking clue. They're just pulling numbers out of their asses. I don't know if they're just trying to remain relevant or what the fuck their game plan is. I mean, maybe they actually believe it. I don't know. I mean, and the Bible's very clear. Don't listen to anybody that gives dates of when the world will end, because they don't know. No one knows except for God. So I said, so when everybody's saying, well, the world's going to end in 2012 or 2020 or 2015 or 1990, you're all full of shit, obviously. I just don't worry about it. Is Greta still being a brat? I haven't been paying attention to her. Yeah, she's trying to remain relevant, but she got in some trouble. Well, she got banned from Israel. I think she's been banned from Italy. That was that little... She dyed the canals in Venice green. The Italians didn't see the humor in it, and they said, that's it, get the fuck out. Al Gore was an idiot. He also said he invented the internet. He does not know how to spell internet. That's true. Yeah, I remember when he came out, I invented the internet. And you're like, sure you did. And I own a bridge in New York, too. And I'll sell it to you really cheap, I mean, that wasn't the funniest thing I heard. Today I listened to this woman. Her name's Lily Gallus. Is it Lily Gallus? I don't know. Lily something. And she's a real racist, which is fine. I have no issue with that, because what she talks about is actually very accurate. So I don't know where she got this footage from, but it was a black guy. Never been to Africa, but he read a story somewhere that said that Africa was once the king of the world. They had kings, they had castles, they had like the best nobility ever. And then the English, from England, destroyed it all. So it's our fault that they lost everything. And she made a good point. She says, well, if in fact, which you didn't, but if in fact those things were real, how come you weren't smart enough to defend any of it? You let a bunch of white boys come in and burn it all to the ground, and now you're crying about it. But it never was real to begin with. But they actually believe it was. I mean, and then they got other ones that come and say, well, you know, we built America. No, he didn't. The white man built America. I mean, y'all might have helped a little bit, but you yourself did not build America. You did not found America, you know, or discover America. And yet they've convinced themselves that they're bigger than they are. And it's funny when you think about it, you know. I mean, like I said, I'm not really that much of a racist. I'm a little bit of one, but yeah, only because every time I turn on the news, it's a black man causing murders and everything else. You see these, what do they call them, teen takeovers? They had a big one just recently. Where was it? Was it in Texas maybe? I don't remember where it was now, but they arrested 50 teens. They were all black. You know, white people out there doing that shit. It's all blacks. Then there was a big rumble at was it Chick-fil-A? Now, it was one of them food joints. I don't remember which one, but had a bunch of teens in there. Literally trashed the place. They were tossing chairs, smashing tables. They're all black. The only white guy in there was protecting 2 white kids and a white worker that was in the restaurant. And he basically just kind of hid in the corner while they just trashed the place. I mean, I caught the whole thing on video. They're throwing chairs and tables and smacking each other. It's like, well, you know, what the fuck? So when you look at that and you're going, well, this ain't a white problem. and it's not about racism because, you know, ain't no whites that are instigating any of it. It's the blacks. They're just going nuts. And all these teen takeovers that they keep talking are street takeovers, mostly black. And I know I've got some black friends, and we all do, and they're good people. So not all blacks are bad, but a good majority of them are, and we need to eliminate them one way or the other. Either send them to Africa or hang them. You know, whichever it takes. We have a black problem in this country. And we need to work on it, so you can take that for what it's worth. But am I a true crazy racist? No. I don't really see, I don't care what color you are. But, you know, the facts remain that all the crime lately seems to be committed by a certain group of people. You can't deny that. All part of the I didn't do nothing. I know. Yeah. They had 2 black women on an airplane, and it wasn't Spirit because Spirit went out of business. That they were catering to the blacks for a while, but that was the reason why they went under, because they couldn't control the blacks on the airplane and they were getting rowdy, and you know they wound up having to turn the plane around or force land somewhere and remove them, you know, deplane them. So these 2 black women, they're bitching about something. They were just being stupid and mouthy. So the stewardess came out and said, "Oh, you guys got to sit down and be quiet. You're upsetting the rest of the passengers on the plane," which were mostly white, by the way. Well, no, they weren't. Oh, they just got louder and more fucking stupid. So finally, the pilot comes back and he says, "I'm going to have to ask you ladies to leave the plane." "We ain't leaving no motherfucking plane. We paid for tickets. We're going to stay on this motherfucking plane. The way we're getting off this plane is if everybody gets off the plane." He says, "Well, ma'am, they're not causing problems. You are. You're going to have to leave. And if I have to, I'll get security here to arrest you and drag you out in cuffs," which you wound up doing, by the way. Yeah. And they're blaming whites for everything. We're not the ones doing this shit. I'm not trying to be racist. I'm not trying to be a hater or anything. But when you have a problem with a specific group of people, you have to acknowledge that and do something about it. You know, sugarcoating it or giving them some slack ain't working. Because I guarantee you, if a white man did that shit, he ain't getting no slack. Might wind up with a bullet in his head. Or worse. So I don't want to hear this shit about white privilege. If you fuck up, if you're a nuisance, if you're breaking the law, you go to jail or whatever. Doesn't matter what color you are. But anyway, I don't know how that came up in the conversation, but I really didn't want to go there, but you know. So let's see what else we got going on here. I'm trying to stay train related here. But I don't know. So far the signal's doing pretty good. I am getting some drop frames. 0.04 or 0.4%, which is not terrible. I'm not really watching the monitor, so I don't know how I'm doing. It's been in the green the whole time. The CPU is only 31.5%. We've been on for 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 52 seconds. We're running at 3,496 kilobytes per second, 60 frames per second. So everything's looking good except for the drop frames a little bit. But oh, by the way, and I'm not bitching, not really. Well, maybe a little bit, but I got an email from hey Bernard C, how's it going, man? Just popped in for a quick break. It's still in the middle of the day, work day. Oh, bummer. You'll have to watch the replay. Some good videos you missed. Starlink sent me an email. They're raising their rates. I was paying $120 a month. Now I'm going to have to pay $130 starting in June. So I'm not real fucking happy about that. But as long as they don't raise it again, I won't consider going back to Comcast. And I really don't want to go back to Comcast. Derek says, Al Gore actually said I took the initiative in creating the internet and then was misquoted. He had nothing to do with inventing it, just pushing it. He's still full of shit. The internet was actually created by the military, and it was a closed system just for them. And for whatever reason, they made it public. My understanding of it anyway. Tom says, Jim, drop frames are normal, will not cause problems unless the drop frames continue. That's true. Gus, who the hell is Gus, guys? Gus? I don't know. Who is Gus? Hey, Bernard. I don't know who Gus is either. Did I miss something here? Did somebody talk about a Gus? Yeah. Nope, I don't know where that came from there, Bernard. So hopefully, they said this is the first time they raised it since it went into effect, so I hope it doesn't happen again. Remember when that blue dress I never had sex LOL guy? Oh yeah, we all remember that guy. Jim, the internet was developed by the U.S. I knew it was one of the branches. I wasn't sure which, Thomas. But I know it was the military, so. Gore is all talk. He coined information superhighway. Yeah, Gore is an asshole anyway. I would expect that of a guy with the name of Gore. If he'd been a little fatter, he could have been Gorlock. You know, Gorlock the Destroyer. I had to say I couldn't help it. I never liked him when he was running for president. And I didn't vote for him either, you know. I was like, that guy's a fucking idiot. Didn't Quentin try to take credit at one point for the internet? He might have. I don't know. Well, Quentin's another liar, you know. As I said, these guys are expert liars. That's all they are. I don't know if whatever drugs they're doing is tainting their mind a little bit, or they're just naturally stupid. I'm not sure which. I mean, you know, Quentin was an idiot because after he got caught, you know, with what's her face, he should have just admitted it, you know, and nobody would have cared. Nobody really cared to begin with. But the fact that he got caught and denied it, flat out lied about it, and then redefined sex over it, that's what got everybody all pissed off over with it, you know. All you gotta do is get up and say, all right, listen, I got a blowjob, big deal. You know, who doesn't get blowjobs? You know, and if I made a mistake, well, sorry guys, I'm just a man at the end of the day. And I don't think anybody would have gave a shit. Yeah, they are very rich liars, without a doubt. But, and that was my whole problem with him. Is you're like, dude, you're caught. You got caught with, you know, with your dick in her mouth. Not quite the cookie hand in the cookie jar, but you got caught with your dick in her mouth, and like, dude, just admit it, you know, own up to it. So, but he didn't. He lied, you know, and because of that, he redefined sex. That oral sex is no longer sex, so all the kiddies are getting blowjobs and, you know, going down on their women. Well, we're not having sex. We're just, you know, we're just going down on each other. Well, yeah, but it is sex. So he single-handedly fucked over the whole population of young people. Because, you know, these presidents, they don't realize, maybe they do, that they do influence a good swath of the American public. Like I said, we didn't have a problem with the blacks until Obama became president, because he created a racial divide between the blacks and the whites. Yeah, I know, Tom, I heard it. So I'll let the plate go off, the parts come off easier, and I won't start it up again, and then I'll continue tomorrow while I'm here. I gotta do one more plate of that, and I just set up a second build plate for all the little tiny parts. I'll have to do a few of those, I think, or no, maybe only one of those. Oh, maybe two. So, and then I'll have all the parts printed, basically. So then I could go ahead full assembly, which ought to be fun. So that's what I'm saying, you know, it just, and most people, you know, especially when it comes to sex, look, nobody's done anything that we all haven't done at least once. Probably. You know, I can't speak for everybody, but I've done all of it. As long as it was with a woman, I've done it, you know. With another guy, no, I don't go there, but anything that can be done with a woman, I've done it. So what's the big deal? It ain't nothing new. You know, every president, pretty much, including our founders, all cheated on their wives. How do you think all them blacks came up with names like Washington and Jefferson? Because, you know, they were screwing around with the black slaves, and the black slaves took their names when they bore children. So this is nothing new. It's not a big deal. I took advantage of no dear Prez. Says it's not sex, so yeah, your sister was looking for something to do, and I said, hell, I got an idea. There you go. As I say, a lot of people did, you know. What the fuck? I never played Twister naked. Oh, wait, never mind. I did, actually. Believe it or not. It probably hasn't anything I haven't done, you know. I'll try anything once, twice if I like it, right? Jim, that file we worked on last night failed on my resin printer. I found a signal in my stock, so I use that for now. Oh, cool. Joe Rader's got to go. Okay, Joe. Thanks for popping in. Have a good night. Be safe. Have fun. And we'll see you next week. So, yeah, we were working on a signal deal. And I'm having a lot of problems with it, too, man. And I suggested that we start over again. So, but he tried. We did what we could with it. He tried it, still failed. So, I'm glad he's got something that works. So, yeah, I'll be designing things down the road. At some point, I want to put signals on my layout. The only difference is, a lot of the signals, like up in the yard, they'll be controlled by the turnout controls. So I'm not going to go ahead and use like JMRI or anything, or go with, light hits or anything. It's just, to me, that seems a bit more complicated than it needs to be. Plus, I don't have a good understanding of it anyway. And I'm a firm believer in, keep it simple, stupid. So, so I'm going to have some stuff mostly up in the yard, I think. Now, I might put signals on the elevated rail. I don't know yet. That would be kind of a neat idea. And I would have them work in conjunction with the direction of the train. So, boy, that's down the road a ways. That probably won't happen until next year. I've got so much stuff that I want to do right now. Really, to get everything running properly, and getting the helix done and the tip out for the helix done, and there's a lot of work. So I figure I'll tackle signals later on. Plus, everything on the second level will be easier anyway because it's all elevated and I can get under it easy. Or if I had to get underneath the benches on a lower level, that might be a big problem for me. I tried getting down on my knees. I put the knee pads on and tried getting on my knees in the new shed. That was a disaster, man. I mean, it hurt like a bitch, and I had a hard time getting back up. I said, I could take a hint. I can't do this anymore. I had a problem before, but at least most of the time I was still able to get up with a little bit of, oomph. But now it's like, I can't do it. I mean, I had to sit down for like a half an hour after I finally got up on my feet again. I mean, it kicked my ass, So no more knee work. That's done. And like I said, I don't know anybody that knows how to do anything that's in the area, that lives near me, that could actually get under there and, wire stuff if they had to. So anything I do need to wire, I could actually do it behind the fascia. I just bring everything forward, all the wiring and any electronics, and have a box behind the fascia that I can, pull a few screws to get to. But actually getting up under there and doing it, that ain't happening. Like I said, I want to do those new signal gates, what I call the drop-in ones. And I just drop that in from the top on the lower level. And then have the wires come forward near the fascia, and I could do the circuitry, which is actually going to be, what do you call it? Fuck, I can't remember now. Yeah, mine's going. Arduino. And it'll go into an Arduino, be right behind the fascia, which I did with one of them anyway, where I've got the working lights for when the train goes by. And all the electronics for that is right behind the fascia. I just pull a couple of screws, pull the fascia out, and I can work on it. I actually have it on a tray in there. So anything else I have to do on the bottom, I'll do the same way. Well, on the second level, that's going to be a piece of cake, like I said. I could do all my, like the turnout control servos will be right on the outside, behind the fascia. And you won't see them when I get the fascia put up, but I could get to it real easy. I could fix it, work on it, whatever. And I'll actually lay in the electronics for the LED signal lights when the time comes. So it'll just be a matter of plugging them in and setting them down. Because you're going to be using a lot of dwarf signals on that. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's 6 sidings, I believe, in the yard. So you want to have signals for that, obviously. And like I said, they'll work in conjunction with the turnout motors. So when I'm on the we call it the when I'm on the main, it'll be well, the main will be green and the divergent will be red. When I switch, it'll switch over, the divergent will be green and the main will be red. And it'll do it automatically when I just switch the track, so I don't need to use light hits or anything like that. I mean, it's a cool idea, but I don't have the patience, mostly the patience, to do all that shit anymore, I could figure it out, I'm sure, but I don't want to. So, we'll see how that goes at some point. See, other than that, well, I know Tom Kvichak, he uses his phone as a remote camera. I assume he's using Bluetooth. Now, I have Bluetooth capability in my computer. I have to figure out how to set it up, but I should be able to use my phone with the Bluetooth to bring up an image on the screen. I'm going to be working on that in the coming weeks because it's kind of handy, because I don't have anything that's corded that would actually run around the layout like that. It's like if I wanted to take you in the new shed, you have to come up with a name for that area. Not new shed, something different. The print room, maybe. I want to take you into the print room or the workshop. That'd be good. I could just bring that in there and say, yeah, this is what we're doing, Just like Tom does. And it works great for him. I figure I could do it too. I'm sure that's how he's doing it. Maybe he's not. He maybe has some different setup, but it seems to me like using Bluetooth would be the easiest way to do it. And so like I said, since my motherboard is Bluetooth capable, it's a matter of turning it on, no big deal. I should be able to use the phone through it. I'll work on that soon. I found that I really don't need to use the laptop in here anymore as a monitor. So I think I'm going to wrap that up, bring it back in the house. That's one less thing I got to deal with out here. But basically I'm using Chrome on the little screen as a monitor to what's actually, I'm looking at it from your guys' point of view there. Where on the main screen I'm looking at it from my point of view. And this way if there's a problem I should theoretically be able to see it. I do see the delay, which is looks like about 6 seconds. But everything's working out kind of the way it's supposed to. Like I said, I putting the chat up on the screen when it happens is an unintended consequence. I don't know what I did. I'm not going to screw with it. I'll leave it. It's probably easier than me actually hand putting it up there. So I'm going to leave that alone. It's working flawlessly. I have no problems with it, knock wood. So altogether, the system seems to be working fairly well. I still have issues with some of the other cameras. Right now, I have the west camera is I think that's the west or is that the east? I can never remember. The camera over there, I have it unplugged because I had to unplug it because of the work I was doing in the new shed and moving the bench. And I've got the cables actually just coiled up over there on the wall. You can't see it, probably. And there it is, you can see it right there. And it's got to go across. I got to staple it down on the wall. It's got to go over there toward the benches and plug it back in, and I'll still have that camera back again. Well, it should anyway. So, but I still got the Doodle Lake camera is not working, the Doodle Cam. The two cams down on the other end aren't working. I don't know why. So right now the only two cams I really have is the main one and the overhead. I don't know what the hell's going on, but like I said, I might get away from USB cameras. I mean, the two that work are fine, I'll leave them. But the ones that don't work, I might switch out to either an Ethernet, PoE camera, Power over Ethernet, or HDMI. Which means I'll probably have to put a card in my computer for it, which is fine. But I'll look into it down the road and eventually get it straightened out. Because that's going to be the one thing. I mean, I'm only going to have... I could rig up a couple of remote cameras for when the trains are running, but it won't be the same as the way I originally had it. Because I just can't get them to work for some reason. So anyway, that's where we're at with all this stuff. I'm actually happy that it's finally, we're reaching an end point. So doing the door frame is not a big deal. I can knock that out the first of the month. I get more money to buy the wood. I'll clean all that up. I'm going to patch a lot of these holes in the walls. They're all over the place. I don't know if you can. And there's three big ones right there where the sink was. I'll patch those. I'll repaint the wall. Repaint all around there and there. It'll look nice again when I'm done with it. As near as I can tell, I fixed all the leaks, water leaks. We had some pretty heavy thunderstorms here. Had a couple of minor, like drip leaks. I corrected those, so we're good to go. I still want to strap down the roof. I'll probably do that the first of the month too, because June 1st is the official start of the hurricane season. I personally don't believe we'll have any here. But in case I'm wrong, I want to be prepared. Like I said, the building itself is strapped to the ground. It's anchored. And plus it's anchored to this building. And I just don't trust the roof. It's got the tin roof on there, and there's a lot of screws holding it down, but still, there's no wind rating on it. So putting a couple of straps on there should... You don't even have the fiberglass stuff on the roof yet, right? Inside, inside I've got the insulation in. The spray foam. But on the outside, no, that's just metal. I said, let's just take two straps and, strap over it. I think they need to be, let's see, 8. They're like 30-foot straps. 2 of them go over the top where the, like the front, the very end, and then the middle part where there's actually the panels separate. As long as wind can't get under them, with the straps being on there to hold it down, the roof will be fine. And that's just, this They recommend doing that anyway if you're in a high wind area. So I don't know what they consider a high wind is, but during a hurricane we could see 100, 125 mile an hour winds or less. The last hurricane they claimed that the wind speed was 140. I think they were exaggerating because it didn't look 140 to me. And I said we didn't have any damage whatsoever. I have a metal roof on my house, and it was unaffected, so we'll see. Now the shed itself has tile roof. Didn't lose the first tile. So how bad? I mean, and of course the beauty of it is there's a shitload of trees on that side, and I think the trees block a lot of the wind shear. So, and they're pretty solid trees. I don't think they'll come down. Wood. So, like I said, I'm not all that worried about it. Not really. And plus, I have faith in God that He'll keep an eye on the place for me. So, I think everything will be fine as far as structurally. It's really solid now that it's all put together and anchored down and everything is in. Like I said, I made some improvements on the roof by putting the 2x4 beam across, because they had a thin piece of metal, and I'm thinking that ain't gonna do shit. So I got a big 2x4, a pressure treated 2x4, right in the center of the roof, center beam. And it all ties in, it's all screwed into that too, so it's like, we'll be fine. So, we'll find out one way or the other. Like I said, I think I would probably bring the printers in here just in case that something did happen out on the new place. And like I'd put them toward the back so they'd be protected. But I don't think that we'll ever get to that point. It's unlikely. So, and it's, once I put the ceiling and the walls in, I notice I still hear some of the rain noise, but it's not as bad. When I first put the shed up and it rained on bare metal, boy, it was like being underneath the railroad, being in the middle of the railroad tracks while the train was going over you. It was loud and obnoxious. Now it's fairly quiet. It's not completely soundproof, but it's fairly quiet. Plus, I was thinking about maybe painting the roof on the outside with some of that, and I'd have to wait till next month to get that, or even the month after. Looks good from your house. There you go. And getting some of that, my dad used to put on the roof of his house back when he was alive. It's elastomeric. It's like a paint, but it's got a rubbery texture when it dries. So it also seals, and it's probably a good sound dampener too. So I might, because you roll it on real thick, you actually mop it on. And I may do the roof with that. I'll get white. That should also help with the heat. Because right now it's got a dark gray roof, which, is like, that's not good for the heat. And do that, and then I'll paint the outside walls the same color as the shed, darker barn red. Yeah, it's a rubber coating, Russ. It's called Elastomeric. I don't remember what the brand name was. It wasn't. You can buy 5 gallons of it, and I don't even need 5 gallons. A gallon would do the whole roof. And I think at the time, I'm sure it's a lot more now, but I think he paid like $80 or $90 for a 5-gallon jug of it. It's probably about $35, $40 for a gallon now, but and it would last like 3 or 4 years, But you got to remember, he had a gravel and tar roof, which was 40 years old. That roof was shot, man, and he just kept dying. Every 2 or 3 years, you go up there and put more of that elastomeric shit on there. And it did work. I mean, it kept the leaks down until it didn't. And then that was the time I said, well, we got to get a new roof. Then I can't put it off any longer. because we had so much rot underneath of it, But they use that stuff on mobile homes too. And, mobile homes have a metal roof, so it works, and it's there to seal it and also dissipate the heat, reflect the heat going into it. So I figured overall it'd be a good idea to do it, Even if it were $100 for a gallon, I'll buy it and be done with it. Jim, 5 gallons, $189 now. Praise varies. Yeah, I don't doubt that a minute there, Tom. It's just everything's gotten crazy. I would. What the hell is I was going to buy a quart of white paint, white latex. I was at Home Depot. A fucking quart's $28 for a fucking quart. Fucking gallon's like $39. It was actually cheaper to buy it a gallon. I said, I'm not buying a gallon. Fuck that. And Deborah reminded me, well, we got some kills at the house. Some latex kills. So I'll just use that. Because the one on the back where I put up the silver foil tape, that 4-inch wide fabric tape I bought, it's not really fabric, it's like rubber, plastic. That shit is so difficult to work with. You can't get it on straight. It bubbles. And I said, you know what? Fuck this. I used it on the front wall. It's fine. I'll leave it. You can't see it from here, but I look at it. I can see it. So I said, I've got some foil tape. So I put the foil tape on the side wall behind the printers. And I painted it white with the kills. It blends in really nice. So I'm going to use the silver tape on it. I'll have to buy another roll because I didn't have much left. But I'll put that on the rest of the seams and paint it white and good to go. But I cannot believe how fucking expensive paint got. And I don't know why. When I was a painting contractor, it was about 40 years ago, 45 years ago, back in the 80s. I used to get Flex Bond paint, which was common in Florida. It's like $8 a gallon. Shit was cheap, You get 5 gallons for like $20. And it was good paint. And I'm like, holy Christ, why in the fuck did that shit go? I don't understand. I think it's just plain greed. I cannot believe that the contents to make the paint have gone up that much in price. I just don't believe it. But like I said, I'm not spending fucking $26 on a fucking quart of paint. It ain't happening. And a quart was way more. I probably could have got by with a pint, but they don't sell it in pints, not in Home Depot. And I'm sure a pint would probably be like $12 anyway. Like, fuck that, I said, no, I'm not buying it. That's all they're doing, these high prices. They're just saying, don't buy it. Lower the price or go bankrupt. They don't give a shit. But I was really surprised because the last time I bought paint was back in Naples. That would have been 7 or 8 years ago. Because I repainted the outside of my old house. And I wound up using like 40 gallons on it because I had to have the deep stucco. And I bought the Bear paint from Home Depot. And with the primer built in. So it was nice. It did a beautiful job. And you almost had to mop it on because, my stucco was like this deep in some places. It wasn't like an average stucco job. It was deep stucco because my dad wanted it that way. And I think it took 45 gallons to paint the house. And it was 2,010 square foot. So I paid, what the hell did I give? I was $42 for a 5-gallon bucket of it. And of course I had to get five of them, right? Well, 45 gallons, whatever that is. And I thought that was crazy. It's like, holy shit, this stuff's expensive. Now they're looking at it, you said $189 for a 5-gallon? Ain't happening. I want to... Russ says my good Bear house paint is $50 a gallon. Cost me about $600 to repaint my house. Me doing the work, of course, 2 coats. I want to repaint my house too. Same color. But it's due for it. It's like the original paint, especially up in the fascia and the soffits. That needs to be repainted. But I figured probably cost. This is a 3,500 square foot house, all together with the 3,500 to the main house and the guest house. And of course, if I did one, I'd probably do the guest house too. I don't have to do the shed because it's fairly new. Paint's still good on it, but it probably cost me about the same money, 600 or more. It's a lot, and that's if I did it, right? Because I can't afford to pay anybody. I mean, I had my handyman do the inside house when we first moved in. I had him do the living room, 1 bedroom, and 2 hallways. That was, what did he charge me? $1,600 for that? I like to shit myself, and it's okay. I think I personally would have done a better job, But, I didn't want to fool with it. I figured I'd just pay somebody that had the money. And when he quoted me, I go, holy shit, that's a lot of fucking money. And what are you going to do? These people, they think they're gold anymore. Yeah, it's ridiculous what things are cost nowadays. Now, I could probably use the solid stain on the house. It's all T111 anyway, the T111 boards. There's some brick there, so I wouldn't have to mess with the brick, but most of it's T111. I've got to replace a couple in the back anyway. I'm getting some rot back there. So I would have to replace that too before he painted it, but that would, once again, necessitate getting painted. So I'm thinking, let's see, 5. I'd say probably 20 gallons to paint the place. Just the main house. Another maybe 5 gallons to do the guest house. Guest house isn't that big. But that's still a lot of it's a lot of money. Everything's expensive when you're on a fixed income, unfortunately. Well, it's expensive, period. It's worse when you're on a fixed income like me and you and probably most of the guys on this chat. I mean, once I stopped working, it was like, well, this sucks. And I went from making $7,000 a month profit to, $1,600 now. Well, actually, I'm getting almost $2,100 with the rent because I rent out the guest house, but that's not a lot of money, And I just got the electric bill and it went up a little bit. The last 3 months has been under $200. This month it was $222. If I can keep it under $225, I'll be happy. If it goes over $225, I may start looking at some solar shit, Not the whole house, but like I said, I could run the air conditioner in the living room, the one I just put in, I could run that on solar easily. 1 or 2 panels and a good battery, and we only use it during the day anyway. At night, well, the batteries would hold up for a few hours, but 11 o'clock, 11:30, I turn it off and go to bed, and we use the one in the bedroom. I also have a deep freezer in the garage. I'd run that on solar. I was watching it. It was really interesting. They said the Amish do this. I didn't know the Amish even used electricity. I mean, we were always told that, they were really backwards, but it turns out they do utilize electricity, but not from the grid. And they're using independent solar cells for certain things. Like they have workshops where they have some equipment, all 110 volt. They're using solar panels and batteries to power that stuff. They're freezers. A lot of them have deep freezers, chest freezers. They're running that on solar power. Some of them are running 12 volt lamps in their houses, and they're running that on solar power and batteries. So, he says, well, the thing is you dedicate each device to its own solar cell, and its own battery and inverter and charge controller. So instead of putting a bunch of cells in with a massive charge controller and inverter, which you can have problems with that sometimes, you do this on a small basis. Cost about $300 per solar setup. So if you wanted to power, say, 3 devices in your house. I also have a well on the property. I want to change out the well pump to 115 volt because it's got a 220 in it now. I don't even know if it works because all the electronics are fucked up. So I'm going to rip all that shit out and redo it. I was thinking about doing one 115 volt pump and having it solar powered, independent of electricity. In case the power goes out, I got drinking water or bath water or whatever. So you do that. The chest freezer in the garage would get another setup. And I don't know, you'd probably use 2 or 3 units. So 3, 6, 9. And if I use $1,200 worth of solar cells and batteries and inverters and power 4 different things, that takes it off the grid completely. Like I said, there's some things that you have to run on the grid, like the air conditioner in our bedroom. We use that at night. There's just no way around that. Of course, you need way too many batteries to actually get it through the night on battery power. And you'd also need probably about 800 watts of solar cells to charge the batteries. So you'd be looking at a couple $1,000 to set up a solar deal just to run that AC. And it's pretty cheap anyway. So I'm thinking that this is the way we're going to do it, So I'll be looking into that and going on a minimal solar system. Because I've got areas where on my property where I get sunlight like 90% of the day. So I won't have any problem recharging the batteries or maintaining the charge on them. So I'm going to look into that because my neighbor's starting doing it. The asshole neighbor. He's got 2 100-watt panels on his roof near the edge so you can get to them easy. A small inverter and a charge controller. And I think he's got 2 lithium-ion batteries. And he can run his mini fridge with it just on the batteries for like 3 days without the solar cells, but the solar cells will, keep it running all the time. And I think he said his window air conditioner he can run on it too. So, if it works for him, I'm thinking, well, shit, maybe I ought to do the same thing, Like he said, put maybe, solar cells are cheap. You can get them from like Harbor Freight or Amazon. They usually have a 2-panel system for 200 or 400 watts, I don't remember which, for like $200. So it's like, well, shit, that's not bad. And that usually comes with a charge controller, which means all you got to do is buy a small inverter. You don't need a big one because you're only running 1 device on it. So, 40 watts probably is all you need. And a battery. And I think a decent I can't remember what they're called now. A decent battery will cost you about $100. So for a little over $300, you can set yourself up per device with full-time solar power. The stuff that you would just use during the day anyway. So I don't think I'm gonna look into that and probably go with it. Because like I said, it's just getting tougher and tougher, and and what's really killing me, and it won't get paid off until 2028. So I still got 2.5 more years. I did one of those loan reduction or credit reduction things or whatever they're called. And I borrowed, I think it was $15,000. They're all paid off, but now I got to pay back the big loan. And they said it was on a 3-year basis. A 4-year. I think I've been paying 1.5 years already. That's $278 a month I lay out every month until 2028. Once that's paid off, that's a nice chunk of money that'll, stay in my wallet. And that's really the only big one I have. I have a couple of small credit cards, and I try not to use them too much, but sometimes you just don't have a choice. But I stay on top of it, none of them's delinquent or anything. And I usually pay more than the minimum, so. But yeah, it's getting tougher and tougher, man. The more expensive shit gets, the tougher it is, So I said I don't like surprises, So, unfortunately my water bill is $18.22 a month. It wouldn't even be that, but I use my debit card to pay for it because I don't want to go down there. That's a pain in the ass. I just pay it right on the, the internet. It's a $2.50 surcharge if you use your debit card. There's no way around it other than physically going and writing them a check or giving them cash that you don't pay it, but I think that should be illegal, to be honest with you. But we use roughly the same amount of water month after month after month. Now my neighbor, he actually got a bill for like $60 on his water. He's got a smaller property than I do. I go, well, what the fuck? At first he says, well, you sure they're not charging me for your water? I said, well, no, I got my own meter. I said, that'd be hard to do. I said, my bill's the same every month. I think once it jumped over, went up to like $22. Because that was watering more plants than usual. And that's another reason I want to get the well running too. That's free water if it's solar powered. So, but that's going to cost me a few $100 to get that operational. And it's not really on the priority list right now, but I may try and get it done before the year is out. And like I said, it will be solar powered. No reason to tie it into the grid. So, and then she can water to her heart's content. I won't care because, it's free water. So, and according to my neighbor, whose dad built the house, the well is approximately 250 foot deep. And he says it's not sulfur water, it's actually good fresh water. So we'll see. Like I said, when I moved in, I know it's actually right by the shed, the piping, and the electronics or electrics are up on the house, but I couldn't even flip the breaker on. It's frozen in the opposition. The timer's completely rotten. It's got a mechanical timer on it. So I'll get rid of all that shit and just have a simple on and off switch, and take it down to 110 volt because, like I said, it doesn't make sense to have a 220 volt pump. It's an in-ground pump, So I priced out pumps on Amazon. They're right around 150, 160 bucks for what I would need. So all I got to do is pull the cap off this one. And it's connected to a rope. I've replaced them before, not here, but other places. You pull it up. And I use the same wiring basically, except that it'll only be 110 instead of 220. Tie the rope to the new one, hook up the wires to it, and drop it back down. And I expect it to work, so we'll see. Russ says you have plenty of sunshine in Florida, Jim. Well, mostly. Although I gotta be honest with you, the weather's been fucking weird lately. I mean, to the point where it doesn't even feel like Florida sometimes. Like today it got up to 97. Well, the real feel. The actual temperature was 92, but if it says it's 92 but it feels like 97, I'm sorry. It's 97. I don't give a fuck what the numbers say. I want to know what it feels like. And usually whatever it feels like is what my thermometer actually says it is anyway. I didn't look at the thermometer today, but I'll bet you it was 97. It was a little warm out there. Like I said, I bought the air conditioner for the living room at just the exact right time. I knew it was going to get hot because it was already starting to get unbearable in that house. You know, during the day, I mean, it would just swelter in there, man. And I said, this isn't going to work. Yeah, I'm going to buy that fucking AC now and be done. So I bought it with a firm. It's a loan. I've got on an 18-month payoff plan on it. And I pay like $30 a month, which isn't bad. And I may pay it off early anyway. But I ordered it from Amazon, and boom, it's here. We got it installed, and we're good to go. Russ says, my solar system draws power even on cloudy days. Everybody says that. Tom, you say that. And if you have good panels, they will. It won't be quite as efficient, supposedly. But yes, you will get, it'll draw power. The good cells, especially the newer ones. The new ones practically work in the dark. And not quite, but, you know, it can be really overcast and you'll still get a partial charge out of it. So, and they are getting better. Like I said, I couldn't afford to do a whole house setup. I mean, I'd be looking at about 70 grand. And chances are I wouldn't live long enough to pay it off. And I don't need any more money going out, so I figured I'd just do it on a limited basis. And I like the way the Amish do it. Each device gets its own setup. At least if something goes, it's easy to fix. You know. So if the battery goes bad on your chest freezer, you could swap out the batteries with, say, your well pump, so your freezer doesn't, you know, lose its meat. You can do without the well pump for a month if you had to, but you can't do without the freezer for a month. So this way you can jockey things around if things go bad, or a charge controller or an inverter. Anything that goes bad can be easily replaced and cheaply replaced. So I got to thinking about it. You know, that makes a lot of sense. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And so I'm not averse to solar power. I'm just smart enough to realize I can't afford a whole house system. You know, and even though they're free, and no, they're not free. You know, you pay for it one way or the other. And I don't know about up in New Jersey, Tom, but down here they really fuck us on the buyback of electric power. They literally give you pennies for what you overproduce, and then they sell it back to you at 3 times the cost. It's not a good system, and they're fucking us over down here. That's why they were pushing it so hard, because everybody makes money except for the consumer. And it's very unfortunate it works that way, but, you know. I could easily go solar for the shed. I'd probably put up 4 panels and probably 3 or 4 batteries. And it would probably run everything for, you know, the day. Don't really run it at night too much, so that wouldn't be a big deal. And even the AC I could put on battery power, but I'm not ready to go that route yet. I mean, if things get bad enough, yeah, I'll do something different, you know. But for right now, I think mainly just the AC in the living room. I don't really know what, that's supposed to be pretty cheap. It's a inverter compressor just like these. It's basically just like a mini split, except it's not really split. But the same technology is being worked with it. That's why I bought it. Because like a window shaker, if they're not inverter compressors, they're gonna bend you right over on a light bill with that. I mean, even a small 7,000 can easily add another $100 to your electric bill every month. So, Derek said all the tax credits ended last year, so now you don't get to write any. That's true too. And I can't really bitch about that because it was a bad deal to begin with. He's down here. I don't know about up north or other places, but in Florida, it was really a bad deal. And camera's off a little bit. It's just, it doesn't work, you know. Tom says, Jim, all my excess power gets put up in the grid, and then I can draw from it. I do not get any money from power company. And my usage would tell me, oh, that's not bad. See, they don't do it that way down here. It's a fucked up mess down here, because, well, solar is probably more popular in Florida than it is in New Jersey. And you're probably, one of the minority for having solar powered houses up there. Down here, there's solar everywhere. A lot of people got roped into it, and once you sign the papers, well, there's no getting out of it then. Not really. And there's other issues too. If your roof goes bad, legally you cannot remove the solar cells. You have to call the company that installed them, or a similar company, to remove them, get a new roof put on, and then pay them to reinstall them. Well, that could set you back, a bunch of money too. And honestly, I don't want anything up on my roof. So the most that you could get back was only 26%, but now it's nothing. Well, yeah, like I said, it's and I said down here is what they do is they will buy your excess power for literally pennies on the dollar, or pennies per kilowatt. And then when you need it, which you will during the winter months as a rule, they sell it back to you at 3 times the normal rate. So you get bent over twice. I didn't know that part of it. I was watching a fucking documentary on it, and they said, oh yeah, Florida's one of the worst states for solar. It's like, well, that sucks. Tom says, Jim, the solar company guaranteed my roof for 30 years. That's unusual. See, down here, there's no warranty on the roof itself. So, I mean, if you have a metal roof, you probably wouldn't have any problem. It'd be good for 80 years on a metal roof. But on a shingle roof, they generally 20 to 30 years. And that's not covered by the solar company down here. So, like I said, if you need to put new roof on, you got to pay them or another solar company to remove the panels, get the roof done, and then pay them again to reinstall the panels. Well, that's a big fucking crock of shit. But that's in Florida. Like I said, obviously they don't do that everywhere. Now I saw a guy in Naples. I think he did it himself. He had a trailer, special built, like a boat trailer, but it didn't haul boats. He had panels on it, and big panels. This was it's like a 30-foot trailer. Nothing but panels on it. There must have been, 40 panels on it. And they were on a rotor so it would follow the sun. He had it parked in his front yard. And it hooked up to his house. So he eliminated the whole problem with the roof. Plus, if a storm came, he could park the thing in a garage and not have to worry about it getting damaged, because a lot of times solar panels down here will get damaged through hurricanes. It'll tear them right off the roof, That's a problem. And once again, the solar companies don't cover that. Your insurance might, but then you can figure your insurance could go through the roof on your premiums next time around. So it's not a good deal down here, unfortunately, because I looked into it. I was almost going to get one back in Naples, because I said, shit, I got a new roof. Why not? If I could get a deal with, I was hoping that I'd get away with like 10 grand or something to go solar, but I said I got quoted, it was like $60,000. They'll do free install, big deal. Then after that, and they collect all your excess, whatever excess you sell the company, the electric company, they take that, that's theirs now. So you don't even get to make money off the, well, it would have been FP&L down there. And like I said, if anything happened and they had to remove the panels for a new roof, you had to pay for that again. Russ says, grid tied system is only good for reducing power bill. If you need power when the grid goes down, you need an island system. I'm not sure what an island system is, but you're probably right. Well, that's like, well, Tom, he doesn't rely on the grid. Not really. He's got batteries. He's got the big, I think he's got the Tesla batteries. Plus the solar cells on his roof. So he basically, his house is almost independent of the grid. Not completely, but close. He doesn't need the grid, really. If the power goes out, he's still got power, you know. So, but he walked into a hell of a deal on that one. Like I said, it might be different up there. That's why I said if I do it, it'll be per device. It's less money for one. And they said if you do it that way, the lithium ion batteries will last for 20 years. If you do them for each device. If you stack them, like you have a 20 battery setup for your whole house grid, whole house solar, not including the Tesla batteries, of course, but regular lithium ion, then batteries might last you 7 years. You know. So I like the idea of doing it independently of each device. Like I said, there's only certain things I'd be worried about anyway. My chest freezer, because I got all my meat in there, you know. The fridge would be nice, but I think that fridge is too big to run on solar effectively, unless you had a really more advanced system. I could get a smaller fridge and run that on solar, and that would solve that. The one air conditioner in the living room doesn't take much juice, so that'll be good. And of course my well pump. So there's 3 devices with 3 separate systems that, as far as I'm concerned, will take care of most. And I'd probably set up some deal where I could maybe provide some lighting in the house, maybe using the well pump system, but only when the grid is down. I'd have to really think about that one and figure out how to wire it up. But like I said, I'm not that spoiled where I gotta have electricity. Tom says, Jim, my batteries will stay online for 30 days. They are charged by solar. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Well, you got the Tesla batteries, right? The big fucking wall battery pack. Those are some nice ass batteries, but they're like $15,000 each or something. They ain't cheap. But yeah, you got a good system there, man. I mean, if I'd have bought a house with that already on it, fuck yeah, I'd have taken advantage of it. But said here in Florida, it's hard. Most people have the system, and that's another thing too. You can't, if you do install that in your house and want to sell the house, a lot of that's not transferable in Florida. So, because you don't technically own your roof when you've got, solar on it. Basically, you're leasing your roof out to the solar company, and they put a lien on your roof. It's fucking weird. Russ says Tesla Powerwall. Yeah, there you go. Like I said, I wouldn't mind having a couple of them things if I can get my hands on them cheap or for nothing. But, right now, not likely. But, like I said, anything I can do that eases some of the bill will be good. I'll be good, with that. So, like I said, for Tom Grassi, he's got it dicked up there, but the rest of us, not so much, Now, the good news is, for us anyway, our governor just signed an executive order basically banning data centers in the state of Florida. So we don't have to worry about a data center coming in, jacking up our fucking electric bills, and using the water that we don't have a lot of anyway. So that's a good thing. I think we're the first state to do that. Because what I've been paying attention to these data centers. They're building one in Colorado. I think they said it's 500 acres. It's fucking huge. It will cost more to power than the entire town of Denver costs. And of course, you know, the people in the surrounding areas are going to have to pick up the bill on that, which is also bullshit. Not to mention the amount of use of something like, they say 50,000 gallons a day of water. And when it returns the water, it's not exactly pure anymore, clean. And you probably don't want to be drinking fucking contaminated water from a data center. So I'm glad our governor signed that, signed that executive order, because it's ridiculous. Of course, the black guy that's running, Byron Donalds, he's running for governor next year because DeSantis is, his term is up next year. So Byron Donalds, he's a black guy, which I have an issue with. It's not really a racist issue. It's a factual issue. Every time you put a black man in authority, like governor, mayor, town council, they're all crooks. And they all do shit illegal, and they're not above board. So right that off the bat, I don't want him as my governor. Well, I got a thing in the text the other day, and they were promoting him, and there's another guy he's running against, is also a Republican. And he says, well, the problem is that the other guy, I can't remember his name now, Sanders or something, the white guy, he opposes data centers where Byron Donalds is all for them. Byron Donalds doesn't have a problem with abortion centers, and I'm thinking, those are two of the things I don't want. Why in the hell would I vote for a guy who's okay with that shit? So I wrote him back and I said, let me tell you something. I ain't voting for neither one of them clowns. I'm voting for, what the hell's his name? Jay Collins. He's the, what do they call it? He's the second in command, lieutenant governor of Florida. White guy. I said, I'm voting for him. He's running. And I hope he wins because he's against data centers. He's against abortion clinics. And he's pro-fucking get rid of the taxes on houses. That's my kind of man I want in office. He's going to pick up where DeSantis left off. And DeSantis praises him like crazy. So, So I told him, don't even fucking, send me this shit anymore. I ain't voting for that black dude or even the fucking white dude. Even though the white dude, he doesn't like data centers or abortion clinics, but I don't know who the hell he is. Russ says, I don't even see the point of these data centers. Society does not need or benefit from data centers. Well, we don't. The government does, because what it is, basically, it's tracking humans 101. They will build up a dossier on each and every person. Facial recognition, the way you walk, your gait, what you drive, how you drive, when you drive, what you do on the internet. Everything you do, say, or think goes into that data center. It's like the ultimate control. I'm totally against it. We don't need them. We don't want them. And they're energy hogs. The one in Colorado, they says they're going to have to build their own nuclear plant just to power it. What the fuck? And 50,000 gallons a day of fresh water they're going to destroy so they can control people? Fuck you. It's bullshit. But, that's where we're at now, And I mean, everything they're doing is about control. Next year, well, they're supposed to start this year, but I don't think it's official till next year. They're going to put the black boxes in the cars. Facial recognition, dead man switches. They'll have total control over your car. If they decide you're not fit to drive, they'll shut that motherfucker off and leave you stranded. But only on new cars, so I won't be getting any new cars ever. I'll keep my beater. I mean, everything they're doing, this is all based on this shit. They just signed a law, even here in Florida, which I'm trying to figure out why, that makes it illegal to hide your license plate from the flock cameras. The flock cameras are mounted all over the place, mostly in Home Depot and Lowe's parking lots. They track your car, your motion, your mobility. And so some people say, I'll just hide my plate from them. You know, and they have sprays and stuff which doesn't allow the camera to see your plate. Well, now that's a fucking felony. A third-degree felony, but still a felony. You go to prison for that shit. What the fuck? You know? And to me, it's none of their fucking business what I'm doing on a daily basis. You don't need to know where I go, what I do, who I talk to, what I say. Fuck you. If you're afraid, it's not because of that, because you're doing something you shouldn't be doing to me. I watched that movie yesterday. It's called, oh fuck. I don't remember the exact title. It's about the Killdozer. The making of a Killdozer or some shit like that. An hour and a half movie. They did a documentary on it. And it goes through the whole shit, what led up to it, how the guy built it, and they showed actual footage of him leveling a few buildings. He couldn't stop him. He fucked himself in the end. He was mowing down, I think, the mayor's house or something, and he got the tracks. It went through the floor into the basement. On one side, he was stuck. And then, of course, the thing overheated, and he had to shut it down, and they couldn't get in it. You know, it was bulletproof. They had 50 cows out there shooting at it. Then he put a dent in the metal. He finally wound up shooting himself in the head, and then they had to cut away one of the plates to get in there. He'd been long dead by the time they got in, but I mean, he's considered a national hero because they fucked him basically out of his land. And he says, you know what? Fuck them. I ain't taking this shit. It's a shame more people aren't willing to do that, but, you know, the whole part of dying is not part of the plan, shouldn't be. But still. Russ says, like I said, data centers have no use in our society. They don't. They're fucking ignorant. That's all part of AI, too. And you know what? AI is fun, but it's also very dangerous. I have no use for it. I mean, I haven't really played with it to any great degree. But I could live without it, you know. I still got my own mind. I don't need a machine thinking for me. Stormy Dave, how you doing? Good to see you here. So, you know, it's like, and none of us asked for this shit. You know, there's nobody out there begging for it. The politicians want it because, you know, they'll utilize it. But the average Joe out there, he doesn't give a shit. You know, like I said, the more technology comes out, the dumber we get. And, you know, I don't want to get dumb. I want to stay smart. So take your technology and shove it up your ass. That's simple, you know. The way it should be. I don't need a car to drive me around. I don't need a machine to tell me what to think, how to write, or anything else. I'm quite capable of doing that myself. Why would I give that up to let a machine take over? It's like I said before, smartphones, they look great. I mean, they're kind of cool in a way, but prior to smartphones, how many phone numbers did you have in your head? Quite a few, I'll bet. How many do you have in your head now? None, because the fucking phone stores them for you. Smartphones are making us stupid. And if they took them away tomorrow, man, I'll tell you what, wouldn't bother me a bit. I hate the fucking things, personally. So we got to do something about it. So hopefully, you know, if you're in a state that wants to build a data center, petition the government. Get all your friends and neighbors to fucking bitch about it. And if they do it anyway, well, maybe it's time to bring out another Killdozer and knock that fucker down. You know? Knock them down a couple of times, maybe they'll give up on it. It may come down to, you know, where we have to start asserting our wants and desires, rather, because they're just not going to pay attention. They don't care. We'll do what the fuck we want. Frees up memory to think about our trains. Bullshit. Listen, every one of us here are very good at what we do with our hobby. And we still got to deal with the real world and bills and everything else, and we're doing just fine. It won't free up any of your memory. It'll make you dumber, trust me. I'm so sick of, well, we need the technology. We need robots. We need the, what are robots doing for a man? They're taking your job. Before long, there won't be any work. Well, how are you going to buy shit if you don't work to make money? Eventually they'll say, well, you ain't doing nothing anyway. You're just taking up space. We're just going to kill you. And we'll keep the robots alive. We'll kill all the humans. It could happen. I'm not 100% against tech. I just think there's a time and place for everything. And when tech overcomes the human, whatever the word is for that, the human condition, then we have a problem. It's supposed to help us and aid us, not take over us or eliminate us. And that's what technology is doing these days. It's not freeing us up for more fun time. It's taking away our jobs. It's taking away our independence. It's taking away our ability to think for ourselves. You look at the latest Gen Z. Bunch of fucking brain-dead morons. They can't even do things like change a tire on a car. Ask me how I know. I mean, there's something wrong. I knew how to do that shit when I was 10 fucking years old. I mean, come on, We're just screwing ourselves. We really are. We're screwing ourselves out of our life. Because at some point, either the machines will, or the government, which are worse than the machines, will decide we're simply not worth the aggravation and kill us off. They're building one of those fucking things in the city 40 miles from here. Loaded dump trucks by the hundreds destroying. Of course they are. And they're bad for you, man. They use too much energy. They're taking your drinking water and destroying it. And it's all, they want you to pay for something that ultimately will control you. Because that's what they're for. Why do you need a 500-acre data center? The one in Colorado, I don't know if it's 500, it might be bigger than that. Because they said it's actually bigger than Denver. It was 5,000 acres, I don't remember. But it's actually bigger than the city of Denver. And Denver's a pretty big city. Why do you need something that big? And it's so big that they have to build an actual nuclear reactor just to power it. And of course you'll have to pay for it because, they're not going to pay for it. That's not good, man. It's just when you think things have calmed down, they come up with new tech to fuck you over even harder. John Nippenberg made it back. I didn't know you left. So, I mean, sometimes it's better to just leave shit alone and, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And these politicians, they're all broke. We need to fix them. But the rest of us are fine. We don't need to be fixed. So, I don't know. But like I said, thank God our governor decided, you know what? We don't want, we don't need, we're not going to have them in Florida. They raped miles of land along I-43. Nothing good about them at all. I agree 100%. That's what I say. It's just, some technology is good. A lot of it, though, just doesn't do us any good. Tom Grass says Denver, Colorado is 153.4 square miles. And it's bigger than Denver, this data center. So figure out what the hell that is. But it's just fucking crazy. And why do they put them in a population zone? I mean, I'm not for them either way, but if you're going to build them, go build them out in Nevada in the fucking middle of the desert. Of course, that'd be a problem because they couldn't get any water out there, but, not our problem. Because they're noisy, and they say that'll actually affect your brain And I think the one in Denver they're going to build near a school, which is also detrimental to the kids in the school. I'm sorry, man. You know what? Shit can that idea. And shit can the assholes that want to push it. I think that one millionaire, the one on Shark Tank, he's all for it. He's funding one of them. I can't remember who the hell it was. The bald guy. I can't remember his name now, but he was saying, oh, no, we need these data centers. They're going to be a good thing. For who? Not for me. You know. It's fucking bullshit, man. Craziness, I tell you. It's everywhere. I just wish I could be president for just 1 year. Probably wouldn't live any longer than that, but just put me in there for a year and protect me as best you can. I will get some shit done. You know, I'd ban all that crap for one. Derek says, put them in the cities where the people that want them can have them. Don't destroy nature and steal the water. That's the problem. They still take up the water whether they're in the city or they're in rural zones. They want to build them here in Wisconsin because we have 2 Great Lakes here. Exactly. Data for what? Well, Mr. Wonderful, that's who it was, yeah. Can't remember his fucking name. Yeah, he's an asshole. He's not so wonderful, apparently. Kevin O'Leary, yeah, there you go. Data for what? Well, to control you. It's like I said, they're going to collect data on every last man, woman, and child in America. The ones being built here, anyway. To identify you in every which way possible. Facial recognition. The way you walk, if you have like the way I walk because of the stroke, that would be recorded. And if I were walking somewhere, even if they couldn't see my face, well, that's Jim Tedesco because look at the way he's walking. You know. Fuck that shit, man. None of their fucking business. They'll keep track of everything you buy, what you spend your money on, how do you save your money, how you spend your money, how you make your money. You know. Whether you're fucking your wife every night or once a week. They want to know everything. Of course, they'll use other aspects of it too, like your phone. Your TV already spies on you. Your phone, we know, spies on you. And next year, your car will spy on you. If you have a new car. I mean, come on. What the fuck, man? And you would think the American people would be so disgusted with all this crap. They'd say, you know what? Fuck you. We're not buying any new cars. We're shit canning our phones. TVs are going in the trash. We'll go back to tube TVs. You know. And you shove your fucking surveillance up your ass, and every time they see a flock camera or whatever, fucking knock it down or destroy it somehow. You know? If the people revolt enough, they'll get the idea this shit will stop, but everybody just sits back, well, that sucks, I wish they wouldn't do that. Like that's going to make any difference, right? Absolutely, John, unnecessary bullshit. Mr. Wonderful. How did he get that fucking nickname, Mr. Wonderful? I've seen him on Shark Tank. I think the guy's an asshole, personally. You know. So he's trying to fuck over the inventors. You know, I'll give you 50 grand. I want 90% stake in the company. Huh? How about you take your 50 grand and shove it up your ass? You know? I mean, I would never go in front of them guys because they're all a bunch of fucking thieves. I guess that's how they got rich. And still, I didn't think there was anything wonderful about him at all. Looks like the kind of guy you want to get out in an alley somewhere and beat the dog shit out of him. You know, and let him know you ain't playing anymore. That's what needs to happen to half these fuckers anyway. I don't know. Crazy shit. And what'll be next? You know, the data centers will start. Next, they'll want to probably invade your home. We'll actually have cameras in your house, including your bedroom and your bathroom. So forget about jacking off in the shower anymore. They ain't going to put up with that crap. You know. I mean, what the fuck? It's just bullshit, you know. This shit has to stop, and it's unnecessary. Because the people in charge are so afraid, they're trying to protect themselves for, I guess what they figure is an inevitability that we will hunt them down and kill them when we find out what's really going on. Am I wrong? You know. They said if we knew half the shit they were doing now, we could prove it, we'd probably be getting out to hanging ropes. The problem is we know what's going on, but we can't prove it. And nobody really has the balls to, you know, drag one out of the fucking state house and hang them. Although that's what should happen. Especially these fucking Democrats, man. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? But hey, what do I know? I'm just an old man talking shit on the internet. Playing with my trains. And really, if they'd leave me alone, I wouldn't bother them. Let me play with my trains, leave me do what I'm doing. Mind your fucking business, we'll be good to go. Shit, Mr. Wonderful is a Canadian, that explains it. Is he Canadian? Yeah. That does explain it. John says too many corrupt politicians. They're all fucking corrupt. Except maybe Trump. I don't know what the hell's going on with Trump. He's got some good ideas and then he throws in some bad ones too on occasion. He just signed a fucking executive order that allows I can't remember exactly what it was, but it would allow the government to use chemical warfare or something on animals in public parks. Why would you do that? I don't, unless there's, it could be fake news, I don't know. It's hard to tell what the hell is truth anymore. They cover, well, you know why they cover for each other? I was talking about this on Tom's show last night. Tom Kovichak's show. They cover it because they all got dirt on each other. If one turns on someone, they're going to turn on him, and it'll be a big clusterfuck when all is said and done. Which may be the best way to handle it anyway. Let's take them all down all one shot. Remember when Hillary Clinton said, if I go down, I'm taking everyone with me. I'm okay with that. Fucking take her down, man. Let's get them all one shot. Because she probably would try and take them all down with her. And that's fine. Something has to happen there because this is ridiculous. And is it about greed? Is it about money? Is it about power? I don't even fucking know. I don't even care. Look, you gotta be power hungry to be a politician anyway. And obviously money hungry too, but, I agree, John, absolutely. No. But I don't care, really. I don't care if they got billions of dollars. As long as you're not fucking me out of anything. Do what the hell you want, And they probably wouldn't be too bad off if they quit trying to conspire against us. But the fact that they're making us pay for their fucking whacked out ideas, that's where the problems come in, You start talking about depopulation, we're going to have a problem. I do agree that we're overpopulated, but not by the common people, by the politicians. We need to knock down their numbers. There's too many of you guys. Let's kill off half of you. We'll all benefit from that. But, that's not the way it's going to work. But, well, maybe it will. Who knows? Something has to change here because I still think that at some point we could see civil war in this country. I think whatever they're going to do, they're going to cross that line at some point, whatever that line is. And somebody's going to say, you know what? Enough is enough. We're going to fight back. And once one does it, the rest will follow. So, we'll see. Tom says, let's start building a boat and get on it, leave a found another part of the world to populate like did a lot. That's the problem, though, Tom. There's no place left to go. I mean, America was really the last independent land, open land that was around here. But running isn't going to solve nothing. Better to stay and fight, I mean, we fought a Revolutionary War once over less. So why not do it again? The government thinks they're big, bad, and powerful, but I think they know deep down that they're not. And I think they also know that if we ever get a bone up our asses, they're fucked, and they know it. And they're just praying every day that we don't wake up. But just in case we do, they want to make sure they got the dirt on us. The only problem is we don't care. What dirt you gonna have on me? You can get me for getting a blowjob a few years back from somebody. I don't care. That wouldn't stop me from putting a bullet in your head. So I don't know. That's why they want to take away everybody's guns. They're scared to death. They know damn good well there's enough Americans in this country that are armed, and armed well, to take every one of them bastards out if we ever decided that that's what we wanted to do. The only thing saving their asses right now is that they haven't pushed hard enough for us to do it. It doesn't mean that they won't down the road. At least at the moment, they stop just short of causing that problem to escalate. Because they can't figure out how to get all our guns. Might happen, we're smart enough to realize that we don't even need guns. There's too many other ways to kill them just as effectively. Bombs, poison, knives, bows and arrows. And take my fucking gun. That ain't gonna slow me down any. I mean, So I don't know. Like I said, I think that they're playing a losing game, I think, overall. But they may not realize it yet. I think there's a few of them out there that think they're smart enough to where they think they can overpower us and take control. They're going to find out how wrong they are. And maybe these pencils even. I mean, you can kill somebody with a pencil real easily. I know how to do it. I'm pretty sure most people do. I don't need a fucking bullet to kill your ass. Or a knife or a bomb. A pencil will do. And you'd probably never see it coming. Or if you did, it'd be the last thing you'd see. They saw how far they could push us with COVID. Well, that's true, Steve, but we learned from that too. They had the game. Well, they had us dicked at the moment in the beginning because most people complied. I never did because I never bought into it. And I don't trust anybody. So those of us who didn't get vaccinated, who didn't play the game, we're not going to fall for that again. They're trying it again already with the hantavirus, and then possibly with the new tick scare, But we're not buying it, It's like, no, we don't care, You're not fucking us over like you did last time. We're not going to let it happen. And that was one of them deals where, if they would have accomplished what they wanted with COVID, they should have stopped at that, and presumably they would have had the control they wanted. But there were too many mistakes made with that. Like I said, how long did it take before we figured out it was the doctors and hospitals that were actually killing COVID patients and not the disease itself? If you were intubated, you're probably going to die. They gave you remdesivir. You were definitely going to die. They knew this, and they knew that we knew it. And they still tried to blow it off. It's like, no, we're not playing that shit. I got COVID. My wife got COVID. Back in 2019, before they even really knew what it was. Did we go running to the doctor? Fuck no. Thought it was the flu. Weathered it out like we usually do. So, I'm still amazed by idiots driving around in their car by themselves wearing a mask. I know there's still people out there doing it because, you can't fix stupid. They're usually Democrats because, Democrats are dumb. And they're good little fucking socialists anyway. And that's fine. And they're the ones who really sucked it all up anyway. A lot of the Republicans or conservatives said, nah. Like here in Florida, our governor, DeSantis, said, you know what? Fuck you. We're just going to go about our business. We're not going to bankrupt Florida because you're afraid of a flu. So a lot of the shit didn't happen here. Even the masks were... Some of the doctors really tried to push them, but, the stores, they didn't even bother. I mean, I used to go in a Home Depot. You had to walk in with a mask. Once you got in, pulled it down. Nobody said nothing. They wouldn't let you in the door if you didn't have one on, but once you were in the store, took it. I never had any problems. I had one guy, a private citizen, you're going to get us all killed. I said, how do you figure? You're not wearing your mask. He says, yeah, well, are you vaccinated? He says, yes. What do you got to worry about then? He says, aren't you vaccinated? Fuck no. I ain't vaccinated, I ain't wearing a mask, and I'm fine. You'll die before I will, trust me. He got all pissed off and ran off, Oh, well, dude, I'm just telling you like it is. I can't help it if you're stupid. He's clearly a Democrat, but, And like I said, idiots in their cars with the windows rolled up, air conditioning on, wearing a mask. It's like, what are you protecting yourself from? And the mask didn't work anyway. He finally admitted it after all said and done. A mask was like trying to stop mosquitoes from flying through a chain link fence. Ain't gonna happen. I wore my bandana whenever, because I wouldn't wear a mask. So I put the bandana on. This was a joke. And I knew it was. But it didn't bother me. It didn't restrict my breathing. And that was the main thing with the mask. It's like if you wore a mask, you're actually restricting your ability to take in fresh oxygen. Plus you're exhaling carbon dioxide and taking it back in, which is not good for you. And it was funny, and I proved this because before the COVID scare, until I went to the doctor, they'd put that oximeter on your finger, that measures your blood oxygen levels. During COVID, they never put it on you. You know why? Because if you were wearing a mask, it'd be so low it would show you as almost being dead. And I asked one doctor, he said, well, we just don't need them anymore. I said, bullshit. You know the truth as well as I do. Fucking lying piece of shit. Tom says, Jim, a friend of mine from work was in a head-on collision, taken to the hospital, died the next day, and they said he died from COVID. That's when I knew it was a total scam and I never complied with it. Oh yeah, if you threw yourself out of a 20-story building, COVID got you. COVID killed that. Nobody died. Nobody died from the flu. Nobody died from gunshot wounds. Nobody died from, self-inflicted suicide or whatever. It was always COVID. So you're right. It was the bullshit. That happened a lot. Yeah, it did. Well, like I said, they put you in the hospital for they intubate you. So they're putting basically compressed air into your lungs. It would blow your lungs out. And you'd die. And then if you refuse that, they'd give you a shot of remdesivir, which they knew and admitted it would destroy your kidneys and liver, like the first shot. Well, he had died after that. And I'm like, fuck you, I ain't taking none of that shit, And whatever happened to your right to refuse treatment and shit? They just totally ignored it. By law, you have a right to receive any treatment or procedures, injections or anything when you're in front of a doctor or hospital. Because I've practiced that many times over the years. And they're saying that during COVID you couldn't refuse. There would have been some fighting going on in the hospital. I would have fought to my last breath to keep from getting jabbed, intubated, or whatever. You know, I'd try to kill them first. Like, motherfucker, if I'm going to die, you're coming with me. So, you know. And then after COVID, they had nurses admitted that they were told to kill the patients. Now, they could be lying, but that's stupid, because why would you lie about that? Some doctors, you know, they quit practicing after that. I guess they were either ashamed or afraid they'd be prosecuted. They committed murder. Yeah, but it did, you know, teach a lot of us. And it's not likely to happen again. So now that they're coming up with this, you know, oh, it's a different strain of hantavirus. It can be passed from human to human, you know, through breathing. Bullshit. Alright? You gotta be in contact with rat shit or rat piss. Yeah. That's what I got cats there for. I don't have to worry about that. And of course the tick, well, I'm careful around, you know, because we don't really have any ticks around here. I don't think. I always check the dogs for them and shit. And that's another thing. They can cure a dog of Lyme disease. Easily, from what I understand. But they can't cure humans from it. Wasn't that weird? Now that this new one, it actually makes you deadly allergic to meat. You can't eat red meat if you get bit by this tick. And there's a couple other things that are fucked up too. And it's like, you can't tell me that's natural. Alright? And I think this whole tick thing was engineered to begin with. Even in the beginning with the Lyme disease. I had a friend who had Lyme disease. He got bit by a tick. And he said that he had problems with his legs all the time. And they said eventually he would probably... He's dead now anyway. That's not what killed him, but... I think drug abuse killed him, but they said eventually it would kill him, you know. What the fuck, man? And these people, they're walking free. That's my problem. Why are they not hanging from a rope? You know. If I found out that my family doctor wanted to kill me, you know, claiming I might have had COVID or whatever, I think I'd want to see him hanging from a rope, one way or the other. You know. Now, you want to kill me? Well, guess what? I'm going to kill you instead. But all these fuckers get away with that shit. Bill Gates created a tick. I just saw it. I'm not surprised. And that motherfucker needs to quit breathing too. That's another thing we're doing in Florida. The governor, I think he either signed it already or is going to. That bans fake meat in Florida. So no more Bill Gates fake meat here, not in Florida. I know on the national level, RFK Jr., he wants to get legislation passed that will ban it for the whole country. And they should. Absolutely, Steve. I'm saying that. There's some fucking evil people here, man. And that's all I can say. They gotta be evil. You know. This goes beyond greed, beyond power, beyond... This is just plain evil. You know. And I think we should take care of evil the proper way, and that means, you know, hanging them from a rope. And maybe just enough to not kill them, so we could do it over and over again three or four times and make them suffer for it. Just for shits and giggles, right? I can be cruel when I need to. Anyway, guys, it's John says processed food is bad for you, and the more it's processed, yeah, that's true. I try not to eat. No, I haven't given up completely, but I've really scaled back on it, you know. But I do right. It is bad for you, you know. I'm more on a more of a meat and potatoes guy now than anything else, and it's been helping tremendously. So, you know. That's why the bastard created the tick that don't let you eat meat. Then you eat his fake meat. Yeah, that's possible, Dave. Who knows? Yeah. I don't like Gates. I've never liked him. You know, he didn't invent Windows. That was actually Steve Jobs, or Jobs, whatever his name is. He's the actual inventor of Windows. But Gates stole it from him. Gates wasn't even smart enough to make it work. He had to hire experts to make it work. Gates was the money man. That's it. He's not that smart. And, you know, he's obviously gay. So, you know, why is he not swinging from a rope? You'd think somebody would have taken him out already. They need to. How many black kids has he killed in Africa with his vaccinations that, you know, don't actually cure you of anything? He's guilty of mass murder. Genocide, really, if you get down to it. Tens of thousands of little black kids in Africa. Basically, he murdered. Why is this fucker still breathing? I don't get it. I wouldn't eat his fucking fake meat. I would give up meat before I'd eat that shit. You know it ain't going to be good for you. You think God would strike him down already, you know. It's like, you know, I mean, God could be sitting up there, and that guy's a real pain in the ass. Oh, yeah, I heard Ebola's taken off. Oh, they're going to try and hit us with everything, you know. They'll throw all the diseases against the wall, see which one sticks, and then run with it. Because the hantavirus didn't get it. Nobody gives a shit, because we're a little smarter than that. And the tick thing, well, it's a problem, but it's mostly limited to certain geographics. You know, like the northern countries, you know, states rather, like Montana, North, South Dakota, Nebraska. You know, that's more of a winter thing, but so sure, why not? Let's try Ebola. They tried Ebola once before, it didn't work, but you know, maybe they'll try and weaponize it now. Who the hell knows? All I know is, like you said, we need to find out who's doing this shit, drag them out in the street, throw the ropes over the light poles, and hang the bastards. That's the only way this is ever going to get fixed. Straight out kill them. You know. And go to sleep and knowing that we did the right thing, and, you know, everybody lives better for it. These people are dangerous, man. Anyway, guys, it's almost 9:30, so I'm going to wrap this up. I was going to quit at 8:30, but that didn't happen. The phony Fauci piece of shit, too. Well, I understand they're going after him, supposedly. I think they got indictments on him so far, but it hasn't gone beyond that, so I don't know. Like I said, these guys all got dirt on each other, and it might be a problem trying to take him down, because, you know, he'll say, well, he'll pull a, you know, Hillary Clinton. If I go down, I'm taking everybody with us. I got no problem with that. Take them all down. But unfortunately, it keeps a lot of them from seeing the hanging rope. It's a shame, really, because they all need to die. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a night. We started out train talking anyway, mostly. And we'll try again next week to talk more about trains. I mean, there's only so much I could cover, unfortunately, but maybe I'll have some more to talk about, and I'll have more work done on this, I hope. I still don't have that doorway finished, like I said. That isn't going to happen until after probably the 3rd of the month. But I should have more stuff moved in there and start organizing things, maybe get these paint racks built and hung up, and we'll see. Anyway, guys, have a good weekend. Be safe. Have fun. Play with your trains if you got them. And, yeah, we'll see you next week, man. Remember to flip off the signal guy before I go off the air. So here's the outro. Good night, everyone.